Mike.
Well, y'all. It's been a long time that I took a little break off. I might take a little more time off, but I wanted to come back and chime in on this conversation about Captain Traore because there's been a whole lot of talking and cheering and celebrating about all his fortunes as far as surviving coups. I believe 20 of them and counting. One thing I've noticed is that Africans know a whole lot about what's going on in Africa, but they're not willing to do the grand thing that causes change to be. For instance, Rwanda back in 1994 had that massive genocide. Over 800,000 people perished. There were genocide, and Rwanda was able to rebuild from the ashes of all that genocide, all that death, all those bodies, all that sacrifice it took to lay what now stands as Rwanda being, I believe, the cleanest country in Africa. But I don't see too many Africans flooding out, going crazy, saying they want to join Touré's army. I don't see Africans talking about moving back to Africa to support other coups in other places. There are a whole lot of dictators that have been in power for 40, 30 years. And those places are still steadfast the same way that they have been. People celebrating as if, Traore is Messiah, Jesus Christ come to save so-called Black folks. But the truth of the matter is it takes a lot more than just cheering. Of course, I salute Captain Traore. I have respect for him to stand his ground and do what he feels like he needs to do to support his people, to make changes, to be smarter and not bend down to the French and whatnot. But I don't think that the French are going anywhere anytime soon. I do not believe that these attempted coups are going to cease since these so-called gatherings with protests and marches that took effect on April 30th. People feel like they're done, that it's over. The real work is supposed to be all these African men, near and far from all over the place, should be flooding back to Africa to want to continue this fight. And of course, expect some of them won't survive this fight. But that's what normally takes place whenever change and revolution happens. In America, there was a civil war. There was civil rights. There were a lot of people put in jail. People were hosed down. Dogs were sicked on them. Businesses were taken away. Buildings were burnt. Rioting happened. People were jailed, and some people lost their life. Nothing ever comes without a price of sacrifice, and that is not what the Africans intend to do. What they desire to do, and what they've been doing on social media, is fixing their eyes onto Black Americans as a scapegoat, as a way of deflecting their action that's needed. They won't admit it because it's easier to place the blame onto the Black American lap. There's no consequence for accusing us and bashing us, gaslighting us, attacking us, because we are in our land of America. They don't want to accept that we are Americans. They rather have that to be the reasoning for fighting, arguing, debating day after day. But that is in the way of deflection from what it is needed for y'all to do to actually make Captain Traore a Messiah. A Messiah, to me, is someone that you're willing to follow and sacrifice yourself to the death, to see through, to prop them up, to protect them, to be their disciple, to go out further to fight and to sacrifice yourself for the cause. If Africans are not willing to do that, this is not a real revolution. The march that happened on the 30th of April is just a cheering session. That's it. The man is still in threat to be cooed by other people from within, neighboring countries like Ivory Coast. Supposedly there are people from there that have set up shop to try to do coups onto this Burkina Faso. And one thing I would like to make note is I don't know that this man was not sent by a puppet and planted and made to seem a certain way. I know that Russia has his back. Supposedly China is trying to get into the help of Burkina Faso and other globalists that are involved. So I really don't know what this man, Captain Traore, is really ultimately about. He just came like a whirlwind a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago or so, did a coup. And most times when you do coups, it begets other coups to happen. It doesn't end there where they stay in power unless it happened once or twice. I think one of the presidents of Africa, like 40 years, I can't remember what country, I don't know what country, but he's been in power for about 30, 40 years. And no one has dared to try to get, this coup situated to change and uproot the person in power. But I do know that there's supposedly all this excitement for Traore, and I could clap, I could yell, I could scream, go, 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 Traore. But ultimately, that's all Africans are lending their voices for a cheer. It is nothing substantial. They are not putting their life on the line to run back to Africa, to make things change the way that it should. And so therefore, I do not have this hope that people are propping this man up for and claiming that he is the Messiah on earth. That is a fallacy. That is not the truth. And the Africans don't believe it themselves. They just want to deflect and put all their emphasis and their emotion onto talking to Black Americans about this is going on in Africa. This coup was attempted. This General Langley had some words to say about possibly Traore using gold to support himself and protect himself. And somehow that was changed into meaning that this General Langley wants to uproot and usurp the power from him. They took a little line or two from this general and they guessed in their mind that now they have to worry about General Langley, the Black American general. And so that kind of put into play about this notion of FBA or ADOS or Indigenous American or people that claim to be American first as being the problem against Africa versus the enemies that are within and the enemies that are colonizers that are still in a conflict with Africa. They don't want to stay focused on the things that are really pressing, that are really coming towards, Traore and trying to take over his possibility of his future because of, wanting to take his life. And he's being threatened probably with the people that are from Burkina Faso or neighboring countries. They have jihadist people to worry about. They have mercenary people to worry about. They have a lot of Africans with a whole lot of views about what they desire that he has to worry about. But if he can't cause African men to flood Africa, to want to enlist themselves for his army, to want to enlist to keep doing what he is doing, then it's not gonna manifest in my mind as being something that's gonna last for a very, very long time. It's sad, but this is the reality of what it is. And I don't believe that African men are going to want to go back to Africa to support Traore for real. I know St. James, who is a guy from Burkina Faso living in America, has a whole lot to say on platforms, bigging up Traore, saying that he should be the king over FBA, which is a joke. And how does that work where something positive happens in Africa and somehow people want to reign over us? That's what Africans got going in their heart. A lot of them, not all, but a lot of them have a desire to tell us what to do, how to feel, what to be, what to spend our money on, trying to direct and dictate to us, which we're not involved in anything pertaining to Africa. And a lot of us don't care to be a part of dealing with Africa, whether we were invited or not. And that's another point. Captain Traore has been inviting supposedly Americans to get citizenship in Burkina Faso. And I think that that is whack. He is not stable enough to be inviting anyone anywhere. But because he is in proximity to Dr. Irikana, she had his ear to invite us to get citizenship. And I believe there's supposed to be a travel ban. And I hope to goodness that none of us takes up that offer to get citizenship, because that would be stupid. That would be putting yourself in harm's way. And if this Burkina Faso Captain Traore thinks by inviting us while he is not situated and established as a positive, that lets you know, in my mind, he is not the right guy to be following behind. And if the Africans don't want to follow behind Traore, he definitely cannot expect us to want to follow behind him. What do we look like as Americans? People just deem us as sacrificial lambs. And if we don't want to take on that role of being sacrificed, putting our neck on the line, then people have a problem with it. But you guys are going to have a problem with it, because we're not coming. And just because we have a little respect for Traore does not mean that we want him being our leader and we want him to be our person that is over us. That's not what we're wanting to do. We do not want no kings. We do not want no African leader leading us. He needs to lead his people to the finish line. And if he can't inspire the Africans, the continental Africans living in Africa and on the outskirts of Africa, living it up in America, Britain, or Canada, or wherever else they are, then Traore is going to be an afterthought. We have a lot of time to see what really unfolds with his story. And I'm trying to suggest to Black Americans to not fall for this worship of this Captain Traore. He is a mere man. And in my mind, they need at least 4 million of him to make anything stand and progress, because everything else is just hot air. Everything else is just cheering. But the man is still vulnerable. The man, every day, there's other plots and plans going against him. So what will the Africans do if something happens to him? Is there another man in play that will replace him to keep moving forward with his ideology and his views of how he's trying to separate from the French? Or is that going to be the end if something does happen to him? That is the question. And that's why I'm saying that we should not, as Black Americans, jump on this bandwagon to do more than what other Africans are doing, which is just yapping and cheering. That's it. And the other thing that they're doing is bashing and gaslighting us to tell us that we ought to get involved with their affairs, while excluding themselves from doing their own action that's required for them to maintain and protect Captain Traore. So we're going to get into, I thought, some of the things that I reviewed while I was on break. Of course, a lot of Pan-Africans are talking as if they accomplished something when they haven't done anything. They just got out of bed and walked onto the streets and say rah, 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 and go, keep your hands off of Traore. Nice job, y'all. But it does not mean that your job is finished. That means that you need to be inspired to really make what he is trying to do, this Captain Traore, to manifest in the right way that it should go. So let's now review Search of Uru first. Search of Uru is a Pan-African. He is a tourist guide. He travels to at least 4 or 5 different African countries and, tours. He also has a YouTube channel where he brings up different things pertaining to Africa, and he slants the conversation to always include Black Americans as a focus. In one of his lives, he did is saying, is Ibrahim Traore Black America's problem? Isn't it fascinating to even put that out there? No, he's not our problem. He's not our leader. He's not our president. We're not related to the man. We wish him well. Good luck. But you need to really focus on the Africans that are not willing to keep him protected and leave us the hell alone. But no, he does not leave us alone, because that is the go-to with bashing Black Americans. And I want to showcase what happened on his show. One of the people that came on did make a lot of sense, and that's Nakmeezy. Shout out to him if he's listening. I'm going to play what he had to say. But again, to even put this question out there is concerning to me. This man, Ibrahim Traore, is a Burkina Faso African, a continental African. He does not have nothing to do with Black Americans, and that's just the truth. People would like to just give us a leader, try to force us to worship a man that we have nothing to do with, and then turn it around and say, if you do not worship the man, if you do not bow down to him, if you do not put him up on a pedestal, then somehow that means you hate yourself. That stupid talk like that. So we're going to get now into this video. Fair use of videos that I show for educational purposes, for reality checks realized and lies denied, to showcase what is in the minds and the hearts of these Africans and these Black Americans that are claiming that they're Pan-Africans and that they will fight to the death, that they would do revolutionary whatever. But yet they only do that shit on YouTube, and they spew their rhetoric onto Black Americans, but they will not get on a plane and fly to Burkina Faso to meet up with that Captain Traore and say, I'm here to support you. I'm here to do whatever it takes to keep you alive. I'm here to do whatever it takes to keep this momentum and this movement going. None of them will do that. But they will try to make us feel guilted for not feeling the way in which they claim they really want to do, yet they just can't find the way to do it. So let's get to this video. Please hit the like button. Please share and subscribe. And again, I understand that I have a lot of people that just don't like the truth. They definitely believe in living in la la land, living off of fantasy fumes and emotionalism and fantasy dreaming and all of these things. I can't afford to fantasize. My life is too real. And my thing is, it's better to be honest and upfront so that we know which side we're on. And I'm on the side of reality, and I'm on the side of history. And my plight has nothing to do with this Captain Traore's plight. It is up to the Africans to make their reality a reality. And they do have to insert themselves into whatever Captain Traore is trying to get going. If they won't do it, it's a done deal. And it's not the fault of Black Americans. But again, this question of asking, is Traore Black America's problem, is the problem? Because what it should say is Imbroom Traore Continental Africans problem. That's the question. But let's get to this.
The amount of propaganda that is going on is mind-boggling. And what is even more mind-boggling is the fact that people are being herded like sheep, like zombies, okay, supporting someone based on nothing but fake news. What is it exactly that President Traore is doing or has done that deserves the praise and the accolades of the world? Let's start by going down a few items here, okay? Yesterday or so, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I debunked the claim that he has paid off all debt. That is debunked. As we speak.
Yeah, a lot of things about Traore was talked about on social media, and a lot of this stuff I have not been able to confirm. They claim that he paid off all his debt. They claim that he is different. He's not taking on loans. I'm hearing recent news that supposedly from the IMF, Traore is supposed to take on $33 million. So if that's true, he's doing the same thing as other African leaders ultimately end up doing. But they say a lot of good things, that he's building hospitals. He's got tomato plants. He's making roads. He's doing this and doing that. But I have not seen anything finished. I have not seen any video of proof. I just hear myths about the man, about him doing so much in just 2.5 years. And I can't say that I believe the news report. And this African is trying to point it out that this guy is built upon propaganda and that he might be a plant, Traore, and all this worshiping of Traore is just a bit odd. So let's continue with this.
Okay. In April, just last month, Burkina Faso government met with the IMF and the World Bank for them to approve and extend a loan facility of $32 million as the first tranche of a wider loan. You can get all of this information on the website of the IMF. You can get the information on the website of the Burkina Faso Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. I don't get my
again
on TikTok.
I'm glad he's telling this truth. What's up, African Goddess? Thank you for being here. You said he has not paid off his debts and he is taking on more debt. That's what I just found out yesterday. So all this praising about this guy, he's breaking the chains of dealing with colonizers. He's going to be able to, take on, the globalists with his resources and cut himself out of the equation of dealing with all the world and the banks and all that is just not accurate. So all this portrayal of Traore as being a messiah and a guy that is on his game and doing everything that nobody else has ever done is just propaganda. Let's go.
YouTube and Facebook. Okay? 2, they said he has given, he pays salaries of elections in Burkina Faso. That has been debunked. It is a false claim. They said he has made Burkina Faso tax-free. That's false. They say he refused the invitation from Trump. Has also been proven to be false.
I knew that was false. Go ahead.
Okay, good. There are speeches of him, being shared all over social media, where this guy is speaking English. There's one speech in particular where he is speaking inside Burkina Faso. He's speaking to his army, and he's speaking in English. I mean, how gullible can we be? If there was ever a period that has convinced me that Black people are the most gullible people on the planet, it is this time.
Definitely gullible, definitely living off of emotionalism, and definitely delusional and in denial. And Joy, I'm just speaking the truth. You just want me to pretend alongside with you that this African guy is superb and supreme, and I can't get there. I'm sorry. You can do that if you desire. That's your choice. That is you hoping, and that's you praying and praising the guy. Unfortunately, I do not have that to give, so you can just respect that or not. I don't care. But you claim to go to Burkina Faso. Why do I have to go to Burkina Faso? I'm not even African. I've never been to Africa, and I don't care to go. How about you go, Joy, on Oredo? Since you are African, so it appears, it's more your job to go to Burkina Faso and see what he's doing, as you're saying, for his people, and stop talking trash. I'm not talking trash. I'm telling you the truth. I'm giving my opinion. It's not going to be the same as you sheeple following behind this man, worshiping him and sniffing his balls and all that kind of stuff. I don't got time for that. Y'all do that. I'm not built for that. And let me see what else is being said. African Goddess says the tomato factory is up and operational. It is not a myth. Burkina has stopped supplying other West African countries with tomatoes, so they have enough to process. Oh, that's good that he at least did that much. I'm glad that he's done some of the things, but a lot of the stuff that people are putting him up, propping him up to say he's done, he has not actually accomplished. You said, let me see. QQUN Salute says people don't know what France has done. Yes, we have heard the news as of late from Pan-Africans complaining about a written contract back in the 1800s with France colonization pact that has happened way back when, that the Africans now have to unravel, or they have to go to war to have it, I guess, taken down. Because I don't see the French just simply laying down and saying you guys can have your country back, because they have benefited so much off of pimping those African countries for all that time. So either Africans in France has to do something to the French president and also get involved with the military in Burkina Faso and other neighboring countries to spread the movement the way in which Traore has done. If they're not willing to do it, it's just not going to change anything. It's not going to happen. You said also what is good is raising awareness about the situation. Here in France, no one is talking about Traore. Isn't that interesting? No one in France is talking about Traore. Not even the Africans are talking about Traore. That's interesting. If they're up in France not celebrating the man, that just lets you know that there's so many other Africans that definitely do not want to do the work to flood Africa. I remember watching the Ukrainians when the war broke out with Russia. I saw so many Ukrainians from all over rushing back to Ukraine to join the military, to risk their life. to fight for their country. Where is that activity with the Africans? I see that they're intellectuals. I see that they talk well, that they have a whole lot of knowledge, that they memorize a whole lot of statistics and stats and definitions and all these things. But what they don't have and lack the most is the courage to flood, to join and be a part of his militia, to be a part of taking down France if need be, from France, if need be. They don't have that in them to want to do. How is Traore going to expand his movement if he doesn't have the flooding of Africans to support him? It is not enough to just say, hooray, congratulations, we're with you, unless you're putting your neck on the line to make it so. You can't expect Black Americans to put their neck on the line for y'all plight. But unfortunately, that seems to be the common theme, where a lot of these Pan-Africans and Africans are having this assumption, expectation, that Black Americans should be acting like the sacrificial lamb for the plight of Africans in Africa. And we're not going to do it. That's the truth. We're not going to sacrifice ourselves for y'all plight. It's up to the Africans to want to do that themselves, like the Ukrainians did and like other people have done in times past. The Americans have done that. They have went to the Civil War. They have fought in other wars and did other things that they had to do to solidify our progress and cement our legacy in this land of America. And somehow people are thinking because Traore is so popular that it translates into Black Americans somehow just following suit to be sacrificial lambs for Africans. And that's not realistic. And that's not a reality. If y'all don't expect to sacrifice, how dare y'all expect us to want to? We're not going to. That's the truth. Let's go.
You have twins, okay? That, and I saw our brother and good friend, my fellow Ghanaian brother, Budamaya in Burkina Faso, talking about roads. He was showing the road construction. I mean, really, in 2025, road construction is revolutionary. When the Roman Empire, I mean,
exactly. Wode Maya was walking along the dusty roads of Burkina Faso trying to make it seem like they really are accomplishing stuff, and all he showed was dirty dirt of a road, showed a tractor or something running around. But all in all, that's not a big success because most places has roads. They're playing catch up. And until it changes with other floodings of African men to respond in such a manner, I don't believe this movement. I don't think it's going to last very long, because without the action to back up the words and the cheers, it is nothing. It means absolutely nothing. But I'm hearing Kala Genesis and many other Pan-Africans declaring their devotion for the guy, but they will not set foot in Burkina Faso. They will not put their neck on the line. They will just talk nicely and bash Black Americans. But doing that is not going to accomplish nothing at all. Let's go.
This is how low we have got. Road construction is now revolutionary. Something that the Roman Empire and other empires were doing over 2,000 years ago. Budamaya is in Burkina Faso showing road construction as revolutionary. By the way, let's look at the facts. Burkina Faso has about 3,600 kilometers of paved road. And that is a big deal. Ghana, next door, has over 13,000, close to 14,000 kilometers of paved road. Okay, so why is Ghana not being highlighted as a revolutionary country? They said he set up a gold refinery. Ghana has over 3 gold refineries. South Africa has 2. Rwanda has 1 or 2. Uganda has 1 or 2. Kenya, Tanzania. I mean, these are not revolutionary activities, except in the space of the Pan-Africanists who are listening to this propaganda. They say he set up a tomato processing factory. Ghana alone has about 4 of them. They said he set up a cement factory. Ghana has at least 10. And other countries have, equal number or more or less. There's nothing revolutionary. If I were to put up right now a question to name one thing that he is doing or has planned to do that other countries are not doing right now in Africa or planning to do, you will be able to name one. I saw Wudemaya holding up the AES, that is the 3 countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, the passport. Okay?
Now they gave Wody that passport, so he's a citizen now, Burkina Faso, right?
Yes, yes, I believe so. I believe he was given passport, which kind of makes me believe that whole trip to Burkina Faso might have been sponsored by them, because I don't see how they would have given him all of his details.
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Before I let it continue, let me see what you guys have to say in the chat room. If anything, I really appreciate everybody for being here. Long time no see. If you have not yet, please hit the like button. What's up to Honest One, Amora, Romo, Mr. I guess, Kinsley Sullivan. What's up? Late Nights with Tiffany. What's up? Carlos, how are you? You said, what do you think of legal immigrants? I don't think anything of them other than they're legal, which is a start, Carlos. I think that, hopefully with what's been going on is not affecting legal immigrants, although I've heard cases where some legal immigrants are having issues right now with being hemmed up and being deported possibly and other issues. So it is a trying time for legal immigrants, but I really don't personally have much of an opinion about them because, I have my own plight to concern myself with, and they have their plight to concern themselves with. Nobody really is helping everybody out anymore. We're all on our own to survive at this point. It's all every man for himself right now. That's kind of like what America's on right now, on survival mode. And you said, are we talking about? Yes, we are talking about Traore. What do you feel about the man? Do you think he is a messiah in your mind? Can he be a messiah without Africans willing to self-sacrifice themselves to protect him and expand his movement and do other coups that's necessary to expand the so-called notion of Pan-Africanism? If Africans are not willing to flood Africa with that gusto, with the gumption of protecting Captain Traore and putting their neck on the line, I don't believe and I do not buy this so-called movement at all. It's just cheering online. It's just talking about we unified and we're together and we believe and we have hope and we love this man and all that. But if the man gets caught up, hemmed up, or unalived, there's no other man to replace him to continue what he's done. So I hope the best for the guy, but the Africans got a lot of decision making to do to keep the momentum going. And if they're not willing to keep the momentum going, it's going to fall flat. And it's not our responsibility as Black Americans to replace them in their plight. they got to get up and do something. They got hands and feet. They need to stop staring at us, wondering about what we're going to do, because we're not doing what they need to be doing, which is being a service to Captain Traore. That would make him then a Messiah. Only then, if people flood Africa to protect that man, and they put their neck on the line for self-sacrifice to serve in this movement physically, it's not a real movement. But people can live in delusion. They can live in fantasy, talking online. Oh, he's such a man. We got to worship him. We got to praise him. Yeah, yada, yada, yada. It's not real. You said he may need more than bodies to support. He needs more. He needs money. He needs bodies. He needs other coups, people that are capable of doing other coups, and people that's willing to protect him come what may. If he doesn't have those things popping off, it's not much of a movement at all. So we got to stop pretending and lying to ourselves. You said everyone is speaking about, yeah, Traore, exactly, we are. Samuel says most Western countries won't allow the diaspora to support militarily, but will allow it in Ukraine. If these people, Ms. Samuel, really was about that Pan-African life, they would renounce their citizenship. They would go to Africa and just do it till the wheels fall off. They don't have to stick around in America. It's a choice. It's a choice. But yeah, you're right. If they did join the military of Burkina Faso and it got word and wind came back that they did, they probably would not be accepted back into America. So it is a life-altering decision that people are trying to expect us to want to do. And we're not. That's the truth. None of us, not even the Pan-Africans, will risk their life ever to see about Captain Traore, just like Cuz Cuddy, this fly-looking guy that calls himself a Pan-African living in Burkina Faso, sits in a coffee shop all day talking shit. He will never want to go join that military to support that man with his life, but he sits up on YouTube talking shit to Black Americans as if that's doing something. It's such a joke. These Pan-Africans are so stupid and they get on my last nerves, but y'all are not doing nothing but showcasing yourself as not being real men, and you're not about that life of revolution. So y'all need to stop pretending like you are, because you guys are jokes. All right. DILA says, I suggest you people fight for your rights. You're losing them. I know that's right, DILA. That's all that we need to do for ourselves personally, is recognize that we have a plight still left here in America that we have kind of ignored for a while. And the reason why we've been ignoring it because of all this talk of Pan-Africanism and all this talk about our identity. We have to resolve that and move on, because things are changing very quickly. And it looks like we're losing our grips while we're not paying attention to what is happening to us over here in America. This is why I want to bring it out, that what's going on in America is our plight, because we are here. People want our plight to be elsewhere. We're not over there, and we're not going. So y'all sound stupid to suggest that Black Americans are linked to Captain Traore. We're not. Stop playing. All right. You said, let me go back down. He is not a Messiah, but he is a good leader for his country, African Goddess says. Yeah, he's a good leader for his country if some of the stuff that I could verify that he's actually accomplished, but it's all questions. What's up, Winterland? How are you? Thank you for coming back. Thank you for coming through. African Goddess says the French cannot afford to let those 3 ASE countries get away with it. If they do, their remaining 11 colonies will do the same. That's what I'm saying. Either they flood back to Africa and those countries and to further this movement with bodies and with their resources and making that necessary sacrifice. It's not going to go anywhere any further, because as soon as something happens to Traore, who's going to step up to replace him and do the same thing that he was attempting to do if something happens to the man? I don't see nobody willing to say, I got next. I don't see no Africans on social media saying, pick me to come to your military. They're just saying, we love you, Traore. Hands off, Traore. They're not saying, enlist me in your military, Traore. I'm coming back to Africa. Where can I be utilized, Traore? They're not saying none of that because they're not about that movement for real. So stop playing with us. You said most of Africa is celebrating. Yeah, they're celebrating and cheering. That's all y'all, well, most of the Africans and even Americans are willing to do. They're willing to cheer. There's no harm, no foul in cheering. I mean, that doesn't hurt nobody. That isn't getting in the way of anything. Look at what happened in years past with NOI, Farrakhan, when he did the Million Man March in Washington, and nothing materialized after all that showing of all those black men that showed up. It's the same thing. People showed up. It's not going to be remembered if it's not continued forward. If they're not willing to put on military clothes and get, in the military mindset of fighting and dying for their cause, it's not going to go nowhere. But I don't believe Africans are ready to self-sacrifice. They're looking to sacrifice us. That's the dilemma. That's why I have a problem with Africans that think that they don't have to self-sacrifice, but they think that they can get us to go do their duty, to do their due. No, we're not doing it. Not even the Pan-Africans will put their neck on the line for Africa. And y'all need to understand that and know that. Because waiting for us to do your job, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. And you're not going to get that time back. And you're going to be making yourself upset with us, hating us. But what does that change in Africa doing that towards us? Nothing. Y'all wasting time. You said some things you will never understand when it comes to some Africans. I guess not. Hey, what's up, Golden Brown? Thank you for coming back. I appreciate you. You said Al Hembron has to first is sure that he maximize his agricultural production to be able to feed his people indefinitely. Exactly. African Goddess says he has an excellent agricultural policy in place. What he lacks is military force to face France. That's what I'm saying, African Goddess. If you do not have a military force, if you do not, think about China, all those military people that they have. In comparison, Africa just do not have that. They've been too busy for the longest. I'm not trying to be offensive, but it's the truth, with you guys dancing, playing drums, celebrating festivals, the traditional stuff that y'all do year round, instead of getting away from that and materializing or militarizing yourself to the changes of the world, to update yourself, has never happened in Africa. And they expect to extract military men from America to go fight and die for their cause. How ridiculous is that? But that's what Pan-Africans are on. And that's why I have no respect for them, because they think that we are expendable people, that we are to be used up and spat out, used like slaves for Africans today. And we're not doing that. No matter what you guys say, no matter how you guys call us Stevens or coons or haters of ourselves, you go do what you claim you want done. How about that? How about Pan-Africans go do what they claim they want to have done? Stop barking at us because we're not doing it, period. You said we are not sacrificing for them. We don't care what they do. I'm an American. You're right about that, Mozart Bach. That's what I try to tell them. But in their slow minds, they feel in their hearts, for some strange reason, that we are obligated to them. And we're not. We don't have no obligation. We do not owe Africa. We do not owe Africans. We are not to be used up and spat out like sacrificial lambs and slaves. That's not what we're doing. But people just think that that is the way in which we need to be like, and we're not going. Just like they're not going. Just like the Pan-Africans are not flooding Africa at this time and moment to make things shake for the benefit of Africa. They're not going to do it either. Let's keep it real. You said, what is the population of Burkina Faso? QQUN says, I think France is now focusing on defense because of Russia. I'm sure this is going to be a long-term battling of the colonizers there in Africa. It's going to be situation after situation that's going to continue. And Africans and Pan-Africans are delusional if they think that marching and celebrating Captain Traore is enough. They are delusional. And it's going to be a sad day if something happens to that man. It's going to be really sad because they have nothing in place to replace him. So it's going to be here today and gone tomorrow if they don't get it together. And I'm afraid that they just don't have it in them to do. They don't. He said Pan-Africans should be suited and booted up, ready for business. Yes, they should. They claim they want to put their monies together. Well, do that. They claim that they want to start businesses together. Well, what are they waiting for? They're waiting on people that's not waiting and tripping off of them. They're trying to argue with Black Americans, wasting time and losing their mind at the same time. You said it's just 24 million, which is population of Lagos. Okay. Golden Brown says he must first maximize his national food supply at home, and then he can recruit all the soldiers he needs. I don't think he will be successful, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope that Traore would say, I need all the men that I can get to finish this process that I'm trying to do. I don't know what he's waiting for, but I believe that people know that they got to do more than just cheer. They got to do more. African Goddess says, Burkina Faso is coming from a place of extreme underdevelopment. Traore is moving rapidly. I hope you're right, African Goddess. Mozart says bashing us shows how illogical, ignorant, and out of touch they are. Exactly. It doesn't change anything. I just shake my head now. At first, I used to get really, really angered because it just doesn't make sense, but that's just their way of deflecting the true action that they need to take, that they're refusing to do. And so they are scapegoating us, gaslighting us, accusing us, making us the problem of all the things that they need to do because they are not wanting to do what they need to do. So they just point at us. It's your fault. No, it's not. I never said I was a Pan-African. I never said that I wanted to be in Africa. So why are you still talking to me about these things? Just because we got more knowledge about what's happening in Africa does not change our plight situation. It does not mean I now put on other attire and other facts on my back to change my reality into yours. I don't know why Pan-Africans keep doing that, but they got an issue. It is called entitlement. They really act as if they're entitled to Black Americans' money and our time and our life. And you guys are not entitled to nothing over here. Just go on about your business and do what you need to do. You said our African soldiers are trained by our previous colonizers. USA and UK trains Nigerian army. That's what I'm saying, African goddess. How can they break away from colonizers if you're also being trained by the very colonizers that you're claiming you are fighting against? How are you going to get away if you're still borrowing the money from the IMF and World Bank and getting yourself in debt? How? It just seems like a rat race that never seems to stop. Golden Brown says, you mean that you African people don't know how to do anything on your own? Is that what you're telling? Okay. African Goddess says, individual African countries need their own revolutions. Traore cannot be responsible for the continent. That's what I'm thinking too, African Goddess. But a lot of people want to say that he should be made president or king of Africa. But that's not my decision to make one way or the other. I just feel like more people should get inspired to do what Traore has done, to continue also what Mali has done, what Niger has done. They need these men. There's 1.5 billion people in Africa. I don't know how many Africans that live off the continent, but there's a significant amount of numbers. They got to get together and do something. It is not on Black Americans to do. And that's the message I'm trying to bring to you guys in this fog of worshiping this Captain Traore, to remember that we're not entitled to take on the responsibilities or obligated rather. We're not obligated to take on the duties of what Africans have to need to do. It's not our duty. And that's why they're mad, because they feel like we should be utilized for their sacrifice. And the reality is we have cut off that mindset of thinking. We have seen ourselves as helping up other people, groups of people in America, immigrants, gay people, all these other people, and not ourselves. And we have finally woken up with this delineation to understand that we are just as important as everybody else. And we can't be helping everybody else and forget about ourselves. So now we're trying to get our identities together and get our pride back intact. And while we're doing that, people are accusing us of being hateful and haters of our race and all these expectations and ideas that people are placing onto us. But none of us are going to change our mind. And while you wait and argue with us, back and forth with us, you're wasting time. What you need to do is go on about your business and go to Africa and figure out how to link up with that president if you want to worship him. And if you want him to be your Messiah, you got to go where he is. You got to go serve him. You can't expect Black Americans to, serve this man. This man is not our Messiah. He's not our leader. Sorry about that. You said, no, that's not what I'm saying. We can do it just saying there is work to be done. There's plenty of work to be done. And then Golden Brown says, then get busy. What are you waiting for? That's what I say. Why are they waiting on people that's not trying to be a part of what they need to do? That's the thing. African Goddess says he could do a deal with Russia. I understand he is speaking with them. Yes, he is. And African Goddess says most Africans are in Africa, not the West. Well, you know, just like this movement, this protest, April 30th, where are the recruits of these African men lining up to want to support Traore massively? Why? I mean, since they said that he's bringing them pride and respect to the continent, where are the men that wants to keep that momentum going? They're nowhere. They're just talking, yapping, and talking to Black Americans and talking about us and making us the issue. It does not change the fact that you guys are not actively working and doing something tangible to protect Captain Traore and make him that Messiah you are daydreaming about. To make him a Messiah, you must serve and worship the man. Celebrating him is not going to cut the mustard. It's not going to do anything. You said none of them helped us fight all the wars we fought. Exactly, Mozart. Nobody was here until we went through all the things we went through. Then when the dust cleared, then we had immigrants come over here to America and live the American dream, but they have not dealt with slavery. They did not deal with Jim Crow. They did not deal with the civil rights. They did not deal with the injustices and the redlining and the jailing and all the different things that we had to go through collectively as a people. But now they feel that they can tell us, dictate to us, that now we got to jump on their bandwagon and we got to pretend like their plight is not our plight and we got to throw our neck on the line for them. Are they sick? They must have been smoking some special sauce, because for them to think that that shit is real for us is delusional and it's stupid. I'm just letting y'all know. Thinking like that, if y'all think like that, y'all stupid, because we're not doing that. We're not worshiping that man. He's not our Messiah. Give it up. You said African people, seems you all don't know what patriotism is. Do African people love Africa? Exactly. They say that they love Africa. They have their flags. They tell us online. They say they're superior to us because they have traditions and they have culture and all that type of talk. But when it comes to where the rubber meets the road and show and tell what you're willing to do for Africa, nobody wants to show up for that part. They just want to talk shit to us. And that's not going to move anything at all. Y'all got time now, but time is slipping away. Because Cuddy might get enlisted if he stays in Burkina Faso. I hope so. That would be funny if it happens. He needs to go because he keeps telling Black Americans that we need to be on the front line. He says we need to be on the front line. No, we don't. Why would people assume that we got to be at the front line? But that's what Pan-Africans believe. Black Americans should be in the front line. We should be risking our lives. We should die for the cause of Africans. Oh, that sounds like something I want to sign up for. Where do I sign up at? I want to be that. I don't think so. None of us in our good mind or bad mind or any mind is going to want to sign up to be sacrificed for the cause of Africa. Sorry. If y'all can't get that understanding, I don't know what to tell y'all. But y'all don't want to be the sacrifice either. So you are contradicting your own movement because you're not willing to do what it takes to make it so, to make it stick, to make it stand. And whose fault is that? that would be the Africans' fault. It's not Black Americans' fault. And y'all trying to place the blame onto us. We're not having that. It makes sense that most Africans are in Africa. The issues they cause outside of Africa is a symptom of their mindsets. It must be. African Goddess says, personally, yes, I love Africa. However, I am aware that many people support their ethnic group, not their country. Exactly. And people want us to put down our national identity to fight for this notion of race when they won't even fight for the notion of race and they come from the damn continent. Make that make sense. African Goddess says, what issues do we cause outside of Africa? To Mozart. Golden Brown says, so if that's the mindset, you all are lost. I think it's going to show its head for real. Unfortunately, it's not going to get no better because France is getting desperate. And the more that Traore is in power, the more emboldened Traore is becoming. And I know that France and other colonizers are not really liking that. And they're going to come back time and time again with these ploys to coup or kill Traore. And it's up to the Africans to make sure that he will survive. And if they're not willing to do that, sacrifice to push for his protection, it's on them. It's their fault. It's not nobody else's fault but theirs. You said the issue is that current countries were created by Europeans. That's what the issue with nationalism is. It's been our identity, and I know that Africans really feel really slighted that we claim to be American, but we have been this for a long time. And for them to just think by just showing up, talking about Pan-Africanism, that now all of a sudden I'm just going to drop everything that I've ever known and take on a whole nother identity and a whole nother viewpoint of thinking is unrealistic. But that's what they think that they should be able to do to us. And that's not working out. And it's just the reality. I'm here to tell the truth. I'm not here to appease you guys and say, yeah, we're all unified. We all together. We're all in on this, because that's not true. Y'all not willing to die for the cause of this movement. And I'm definitely not willing to die for the movement. So that there it is there. You said, I know that, but you cannot call yourself a nation if you refuse to unite. Okay. And please push the like button. Thank you, G. Thank you for being here. You said, African Goddess says, in fairness, I heard anyone, not even Kala, say that Black Americans should fight in Burkina Faso. Kala says we should go to Burkina Faso. We should make our way to Burkina Faso. He thinks that that is a good setup for us. This man that has had 20 attempts against his life. This same man that every day is uncertain. And in that instability, Kala is claiming that we need to think about going to Burkina Faso. That he won't go though, but he thinks we ought to go. Come on. Joy says, why don't France and America hands off Africa's natural resources? Because they've gotten accustomed to getting away with getting natural resources for pennies or for free. Africans have allowed this by the way in which they have lived their lives. They put priorities out there that weren't about security, wasn't about sovereignty, wasn't about protection, it wasn't about independence. It was about, traditions and cultural things that they do, dancing around, having a good time with these festivals, having a good time with whatever. They didn't put security at the top of the list. So why are we confused that France is still wanting to maintain a relationship that they've gotten away with for the last couple of 100 years. They assume that they want to maintain that power and control indefinitely. That's on them. I can't change France's mind. That it is what it is. And the only way that it can be changed is by the Africans. The Africans got to be upset in France. The Africans got to be upset in all these other neighboring countries that are colonized by France, and get together and mobilize and do what they need to do to thwart any coups attempts, and to have more men available for the protection of all their leaders that are in play right now. But I don't see these men talking about giving up their life and fighting to the death. I don't hear any of them talking like that. So I don't believe they want a revolution. I don't believe that they want to see a change, because they're not willing to do what's necessary, which is sacrifice. Unfortunately, it's not something that I desire to see y'all do, sacrifice yourselves. But I just know that throughout history, any changes that have happened have been behind sacrifices, whether it be death, whether it be war, whether it be going to jail, something. A lot of things have happened in times past to result in these different changes that have occurred. It does not just happen because you guys smile and laugh and have a good time cheering somebody. That's not going to do it. And if Africans think that what they did on the 30th was all it takes, they are in a rude awakening. It's going to happen eventually. You said African Goddess says European economies too tied to ours for them to just leave. We cannot be naive. There will be bloodshed. There has to be bloodshed, African Goddess. That's my point. So all you Pan-Africans such as Afro Think Tank, College Genesis, Search of Uru, O'Shea Duke Jackson, or any other that is constantly making it our issue, insinuating that we got to get involved. The Africans are not getting involved. So you most definitely cannot expect Black Americans to get involved. It's not our plight. It's not our problem. It's not our goal. And it's not our sacrifice. We're not going to allow ourselves to be snuffed out for the betterment of Africa. That's just the truth. You know, people can get mad about that, but you're not doing it. You could say you guys are cowards, but you ain't doing it. So what does that make you? Okay, if you want to say we cowards, where is your one-way ticket to Burkina Faso? Where? Black Americans can't even liberate themselves in America, so Burkina Faso is not relying on you guys to help them in this fight. We are better off, Joy, in America than a lot of Africans are in their own home country. So we are not tripping about being liberated. We're tripping about maintaining and surviving in the environment in this reset that Trump is doing. That's all we are concerned about. We don't care about what is happening in the continent of Africa. If things are positive, we will say, congratulations, we respect it. But are we willing to join in the forces of what is necessary to do to maintain a movement and a revolution? We are not there. And we do not care to sacrifice ourselves. That's just the truth. Go to the field. No, you go to your mama. Okay, let me see. Go to your mama. Asu, the best. African Goddess says exactly, it's not BA job to liberate us. It's not, but many Pan-Africans are acting like it is our duty. They are stupid. They have bumped their heads. John says Black Americans are just Americans. Stop calling each other free or oppressed. Yes, we are Americans, but a lot of Africans are jealous. What's up, Pinky? Thank you for coming through. I really miss seeing you. Pinky says we Black Americans are liberated. That's why we're not fleeing like Africans. And yes, your resources will be taken. You people don't know how to use them. And Mozart says we see people online trying to act as if we care about Traore, whatever his name is, the people that built their home and fought every war without African support are not concerned with them. Yeah, this propaganda that's going on social media, people putting Black Americans in the title, saying that we stand with Africans and Caribbeans to support Traore, that we are saying hands off, and all this other type of thought and talk. It's all propaganda. We're not out there like that. You have a few crash dummies that have declared on social media that they would do this and they would do that, but they ain't doing nothing. They just talk and talk and talk till they're delirious, and I'm delirious. And then they come and talk about Black Americans. Oh, we're haters and traitors if we don't want to give up our soul for the cause of Africans. What kind of shit is that? The Africans don't want to give up their shit for Africa. Why would we want to do that for them? Come on. You said we see people online trying to act as if we care. Oh, yeah, I read that. We don't care like that, y'all. I'm sorry. We respect the man for doing what he needs to do. But outside of that respect, there's nothing else that we are going to do for Africa. We're not going to put our neck on the line ever. That's just the truth. And that's why y'all mad, because y'all feel like we ought to, even when y'all won't. Come on. 2 million African soldiers fought in World War II. Where at? African goddess, whereabouts? Crazy Adventures and Review says this guy talking is white. What guy talking is white? I'm not white. I'm a woman. Pinky says you are, but not all. Look at Joy in this chat, still attacking Americans. She got an issue. Like I said, Africans feel entitled, some of them, for what Black Americans are to do, what to believe, how to perceive their future and their thinking and thoughts. They think that they should be able to reign supreme over us, and they have an issue when they can't. They have this superiority complex about how they think they are above us. And they don't understand that maybe they're intellectual, but they're not willing to do the necessary to complete the action of a movement and of a change that's necessary for Africa, which is self-sacrifice. That's what needs to happen. Bloodshed has got to happen. Where are you guys lined up at to go do that part? I'll wait. And this needs to get out there now. Please hit the like. Thank you. Pinky says, as bad as Africans think we're living, they shouldn't expect any support from us Americans. Exactly, Pinky. I don't get it. It's really bizarre for them to really have this expectation and assumptions that we are just going to just be there at the front line and want to put everything out on the line for them. Who does that? We're not no superhero. We're not Jesus. We're not nothing like that. Y'all need to stop daydreaming. Y'all daydream too much. It's BS because you can't love what you don't and won't upkeep. Exactly, Mozart. And you can't force others to care more than you. That's what the Pan-Africans haven't gotten. They cannot force Black Americans to care more than they care. They got to do what they claim they need to see done. And they're trying to forfeit that and put it on and place it on us. And we're like, no, thank you. Hot potato. We don't want it. We're supposed to help liberate African continent while they flee to the West. Exactly. It just sounds ridiculous. Mozart says, what are those 2 million soldiers that were African names? I will wait. Sacrifice is not holy. Biometric says, I don't think so anymore. Like I said, the last sacrifice that we witnessed here in America was Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Some people went to jail. Some people sacrificed with these, what do you call it? Not protests, but they didn't ride the buses for a year. They abstained from paying money towards certain things. I mean, you have to lose something to gain something. That's what it boils down to. Whether it be your life, whether it's giving up money, whether it's giving up your time, whether it's forfeiting doing this and doing that, something has to be given up as a sacrifice to see change. That's how it goes. And many Africans think that because they're well-rounded with a lot of knowledge, I'll give that to them. A lot of them can speak a lot of languages and they know a lot of information and history and whatnot. Very versed in a lot of knowledge. But the one thing that they don't have is the heart to do what's required to change, which is sacrifice. That has to happen. I remember when in America, when the slaves, didn't want to remain in slavery, one of the things that Frederick Douglass had offered for the slaves to become soldiers so that they can earn their citizenship and earn their place in history. And a lot of them lost their lives to have that possibility. They were willing to attempt to give up the only thing that they had left, which was their life, to give us what we have today. And many other people have enjoyed the liberties and freedoms of that sacrifice up to this day. But that has to be what Africans know has to happen. And they don't seem to get that part. They think holding hands and singing Kumbaya and saying we all black somehow is going to make it work. And that's just silly. You said most Africans are in the UK. Okay. Mozart says Africans are very desperate and sick. If you all think that we are about to let you take credit for what my people did, why are they not fighting for themselves in 2025? That's a great question. Why aren't they thinking that they need to up the ante and do a lot more? And it's 2025. This is a great time for them to do something. Trump is about to do a travel ban, more than likely soon. Again, the USAID has been not allowed to start up again. A lot of monies are frozen in time and availabilities are not available anymore. They should feel the pressure to want to do something. And yet, the only thing that I see that Africans are doing online is arguing with Black Americans, as if that's going to make anything change. And it's not. It's silly. They're wasting time, and you're wasting our time, and you're getting on our nerves, and nothing's going to make us want to care about you more than you. It's not going to happen. I think you should be a part of the African Union. There would be peace on the continent. That's another thing. And the African Union, I don't think, has mentioned anything about President Traore or Captain Traore. I don't think many other leaders of Africa stood up and said anything about what he's been doing, because it's going to show them in the light that they are in, which is mostly puppets for the colonizers of the world. So they don't even have their own so-called African Union or representative bodies that are doing what they need to do to sacrifice for this cause. But they expect us, Black Americans, to want to. It's crazy. It's laughable. Mozart says it's funny. To me, every war we fought, it was a win. but Africa not so much. Can you expound on that, African Goddess? African Goddess says, I got that information from the BBC. Africans fought on both sides during the war. Pinky says, everyone has an issue with us being Americans, but no problem with Haitians, Jamaican, Mexican, Cuban, Brazilians being called by their country's name. Exactly, Pinky. They think that they should be able to pimp us and bully us. That's what it boils down to. They feel like they are entitled to what we do and how we do. They have gotten away with this idea that we are just little bitty bitches and hoes for Africans, and we're not going to do that. That's the truth. So all these fantasies that you Africans out there, not all, but a lot of you have in your heart about how you think we need to serve and work for you. No, we don't. That's the bottom line. Y'all need to do what you need to do for yourselves. And if these Pan-Africans that are Black Americans claimed to want to serve y'all, get to serving. Get to serving. Stop arguing with us. African Goddess, or Mozart says, excuse me, how were Africans over here fighting WW2 when they were busy fighting tribal wars? Wicked. I don't understand that either. African Goddess says, yet they fought in the deserts of North Africa, the jungles of Burma, and over the skies of Germany, a shrinking band of veterans, many now living in poverty, resent being written out of history. Yes, Pinky, panties need to go fight in Burkina Faso. Afro Think Tank, where are you at? You got all that shit to say about having allegiance to Africa and fighting for your race. Well, I would believe you if you would renounce your citizenship and you would give up your military pension and you would go to Burkina Faso and take your family and go fight for that man. Until you go do that, you're just talking shit and you're a liar and a hypocrite, because all the things that you used to do as a military guy, you're still benefiting off that money and talking shit about what we need not do. Although you still doing to get that money, but by being connected to the government and the military. So you are the biggest hypocrite out here, and you think that you're brilliant and you think you're smart. You think that you should be telling us what we should be thinking. You don't have that influence. You don't have that power. You are a clown. You're not no damn chief. You're an imaginary chief. I don't even know why you just get up on YouTube talking all this shit, but you're not sacrificing yourself for the cause. And you expect us to want to? Fuck out of here. You said for Africa, World War II began not in 1939, but in 1935. All right. And all right. So let's get back. I got a couple of more to read. We are cooked in. Africa always have been. Theta says. African Goddess says, not for the USA. They were enlisted by their colonial masters. Pinky says, every time a group of people have a fight, they want us Americans on their front line. We're not an attack dog. We are not fighting for anyone anymore. We're not. That's what they're not understanding. And they're trying to make it in the guise of us being traitors and haters and all that, trying to make us feel guilted and obligated. And we're not going to do that. Y'all not going to do it. Don't expect us to do it. We're not coming. Tahaka says, much love to the host and all in the chat. Thank you for being here. Great to see you. All right. You said we would not have lost nothing. We have been fine. You all needed us. We don't need y'all. We don't. And you said Trump is feeding us Africans to the wolves. I don't know. I just know that Trump doesn't really have a fond heart for the plight of Africans. It doesn't appear. And if that travel ban happens and people are stranded or having a hard time getting out of the country or whatever the case may be, you've been forewarned that I don't think it's a good idea to look to get this so-called citizenship in Burkina Faso, associating yourself with ADI or Dr. Ericana. She is linked up with this Captain Traore, trying to keep us entangled with Africa somehow. And if that travel ban happens, which I think is coming, it's going to really show and rear its ugly head as far as how bad off Africa will become. And again, people expect us to get all riled out of shape and want to run to the embassies and protest and all this stuff for the Africans. We are not coming. I'm sorry. That's not our plight. It's not our fault, and it's not our problem. That's the reality. People don't want to hear the reality. They want us to just make believe with them and worship Traore, and I'm not doing none of that stuff. I ain't got time for that. You said many of them are delusional to think they have some elite level in our home. ET better phone home. Bloodshed has got to happen. Yes, most times, Matthew, when change occurs, it has been behind bloodshed. It has been behind assassinations. It has been behind civil wars, or it has been behind, the killing of and changing of the guards, coups and leaders. It has always happened. And I don't see anything changing from that situation. African Goddess says the fighting started in Uterra, which was Italy, Italian colony at the time, but Africans fought all over on both sides. Pinky says, discover this book by a nice Jewish lady named Nancy Essenberg, titled White Trash. It tells the world how you Europeans got here. Even the founding fathers called you trash. Pinky also says, JP, Europeans were dumped here by their own countrymen because they were considered worthless. You don't know your own history. Ascending, boycotts. We did boycotts. We sacrificed our time. We sacrificed our way of getting to work or getting around. Again, there were assassinations. They were assassinated leaders. People went to jail. People suffered before we seen the changes of the Civil War or Civil Rights Movement, and so forth and so on. All these things have come with bloodshed or with sacrifice. That's what happens when change comes. It's not going to be because you sang a nice song and you held hands and you talk so highly about an African leader. Things are not going to change from that. Sorry. You said, except Kenya, Zimbabwe, and South Africa, all the African colonies got their independence by agreement, so it was never real freedom, and that's the problem. Exactly. Tahaka says, how would you all was getting you all butts kicked until we came in the wars. Germany was dogging you all. Stop playing with us. Life is already hard as it is. You right about that. Who came from you all? We were never with you all. Exactly. What is your tribe? Biometrics. And G says, ask. African Goddess says, most Africans are not in the UK, the Caribbean. The African UK population is just 3 million. Okay. And Pinky says, welcome back to John, to the chat. Long time no see. Thank y'all all for being here. I really appreciate it. African Goddess says, for Black African Union funded by EU, they cannot say anything. That's sad. That's sad, African Goddess. Pinky says, you're right. Most Africans are at home, most Jamaicans. And African Goddess says, the Caribbeans were invited by the UK after the war. My father-in-law said he was interviewed for a bus driver job in Jamaica. And Bumani won't go to African continent to fight. He wouldn't even fight for Jamaica. Exactly. They never want to fight. They are definitely just cheerleaders. That's all you guys are, cheerleaders. Mozart says, I look at them all as scammers. I heard that. And African Goddess says, I don't blame Kala. It's not his fight. He is supporting the cause online. Yeah, it's fake support, though, because, again, everybody comfortably yapping and talking shit online, making it about Black Americans. It's not sparing the Africans from what they need to be doing. Pinky says, it's not our fight. I will blame him. He said, we Americans need to go fight. He needs to go. Exactly. We don't need to go no damn where. African Goddess says, did not hear Kala saying that. He has said it before, African Goddess. G says, we as Black Americans, FBA, are on our own journey. We have been scorched through the fire into pure magnificence. We are from the West and the people of this land called America. Okay. African Goddess says Trump is not feeding anybody to the wolves. He is enforcing his borders. If we were doing the same, we would not need to Japa. Yeah, Trump's doing management. He's doing micromanaging. And as far as his 100 days, how I view him, I would say it's still out. I would give him probably a C plus for 100 days of what Trump's been doing. I don't like the way that he just fired people just cold turkey like he did. I wish that it was kind of phased out and more organized a little to where people were given time to make their affairs, put their affairs in order and do other things. But that was not allowed to happen. Everything just happened all at once. I don't think that that is probably the best way to do it, but I may be wrong. But I want to give Trump up until August, September to really understand if the tariffs are going to be benefiting us or worse, bad for us. I think that I might wait to talk about Trump tomorrow because I really wanted to talk about Traore and it's taken on another life. I'm going to get back to these videos in just a second. I just really want us as Black Americans to understand that, you know, all this hype about this captain, don't let yourself get carried away and don't let yourself get emotionally wrapped around this fantasy of this man that is not a messiah and is not your leader and it's not your problem and it's not your duty. It's none of the above. Africans are upset that we don't feel this obligation to them, and that's just something that they're going to have to figure out and work through because it's not our problem, it's theirs. They have work to do. They have sacrifices to be made, and they need to be designating to their people this emphasis of urgency to do something, not argue with us. That's the problem. You said here, hers you chance to prove you love for the African continent, go fight. Exactly. If you love Africa so much, I would see and hear you guys flooding to Africa. Tahaka says we fought for Ethiopia during the invasion to help free Mandela. Those days of us fighting for Africa is done. We're looking out for ourselves now. That's exactly what we're doing. Pinky says, yes, our men fight. And that government offered them land after the war. And Jamaicans went over there and stole that land, lied, said they were Americans. Exactly, Pinky. So everything that we do, other people have benefited off of. And we're tired of that. We're tired of being sacrificed for other advancements of other people and not our own. So if people can't respect where we're coming from and me telling this truth and they feel offended, I can't help you. I'm sorry. Pinky says, Shasamain, yeah, I remember. Oh, African Goddess rather says, Shasamain, the Rasta settlement is probably not anywhere most people would want to be. The problem is, though, African Goddess, it was supposedly reserved for us. The Jamaicans hurried up and took over that land after we offered up our services. This is what we're talking about. Pinky says the tariffs have to be fair. In all these years, if it has not, I listened to a news story on what Canada, China, and the Mexico charges us, and what we're charging them is not fair. Yeah. And Piggy says it might not be, but now Americans want to go there, and that land should be vacant and offered to them. It was not for Jamaicans. Exactly. So let me get back to Search of Uru. It's about to take a turn and become very interesting. I just want us to understand that many Pan-Africans are running with this Captain Traore, talking about him, worshiping him, sniffing his balls, doing the most, talking shit the most about Black Americans, yada, yada, yada. You guys are lost. You guys are losing. Ain't nobody lost shit. Ain't nobody losing their life. Ain't nobody sacrificing shit. So what are y'all talking about? But let's get back to this.
Yeah, I think we lost him. Cuddy, you wanted to say something. After Cuddy, I'm gonna pass it to Knockmeezy, premium Black FBA. Yeah, we lost him. You there? We had lost you. Afro Man.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, we lost you. You got 30 seconds. Yeah, you got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. All right. So the last thing is on the passport issue. Okay. Why would I give up my ECOWAS passport that allows me to travel to 15 countries in West Africa? Several countries.
Who said he gave up his ECOWAS passport?
No, he didn't. I'm not saying that he did, but I'm saying that it was being highlighted as a passport or something, and he was asking if other people outside of the 3 countries could get the passport. Okay. So I was asking myself, even if I could get the passport, what benefit could that passport give me that the current ECOWAS passport is not currently giving me? Okay. So I don't really understand. And then lastly, okay, the AES official language is French. It's French. So let's not think that they're speaking the local language between themselves officially. The official language of the AES is French. Thank you very much.
All right, go ahead now.
Please, upcoming. Before you come, I just want to say something.
No, it's not. I gotta pass the mic. Go ahead, Knockmeezy. Unmute yourself, Knockmeezy.
Now, Knockmeezy is he calls himself ADO or FBA. I don't subscribe to calling myself FBA, but I do think that we have the right to describe ourselves or identify ourselves as what we want to here in America. And he says a lot of good things on this stream right here about our mindset and what we need to have moving forward. I know that it's going to be upsetting to the Africans and the Pan-Africans, but again, we have different plights. We have different views and vantage points to dealing or thinking on Africa. Again, for the Pan-Africans that claim that they love and adore Africa so much and they want to be a part of Africa, they're African and all that, you got to put more blood on the line. You have to put something out there to make it really true. If you're just yapping comfortably on YouTube, I don't believe you. I don't respect you. If you're in America talking shit to Black Americans, you are a joke. And you are a contradicting bitch, because you are not about that life, and telling us we ought to be about that life is not going to change Africa. It's wasting time. And you guys are liars if you pretend that you're doing something on social media talking shit. You're just talking shit. That's it.
To everybody, if everyone can mute up, please.
Go ahead.
In the words of Martin Delaney, before that coconut from Jamaica stole it, Africa for the Africans. That excludes all these Black Americans that's jumping on an African bandwagon with Black American privilege, and they want to jump in the pool now because they see some movement, when 20 years ago the only African that they knew was, the hook from Michael Jackson's song, Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kusa. These people are recent, for real, and I'm keeping it 100. I'm talking to the DNA.
Liberian girl.
Exactly, right? So if Traore is successful, I look at it with the side eye because he's in the bed with Russia. Then let the people of Burkina Faso benefit from that. Black Americans have no stake in this game at all. We have too many issues in Black America. If you go to 10 houses in Black America, 10 of them ain't gonna know anything about what's going on in Burkina Faso, nor would we care. It's just a lot of these Pan-Africans, these so-called Pan-Africans now want to, jump on a bandwagon and do this and do that. Come on, man. Keep it 100. People have been living there for years, don't even speak the language, have not integrated. They just passport collecting, DNA sample sending dudes that's claiming to be houses and all of this other stuff just because they think it's cool now. Let the people who they themselves or their fathers and their grandfathers went through all of that struggle, suffered as real Africans, let them reap the fruits of the labor. You know what I'm saying? And if it goes belly up, then, you know what I'm saying, that's something that they got to deal with it. Black Americans' problems are in Black America, not in Africa. We ain't had nothing to do with them since we left there 400 years ago, and we shouldn't start now.
Yeah, so can I talk something on that subject?
Well, let me read the super chats. Kwame Mats, Ronnie Amen, Mintu Hotep, thank you for $1.99. Holla, FBA, YU, all up in Tethers, business undermining. And Kanye Corey, thank you for the £10. Langley is doing all the shit that the FBA used to slurs. Hey, somebody needs to mute up. You need to mute up. Used to slurs Africans as tethers. Take responsibility. Secondly, the U.S. and the West has no success stories in Africa. What they did in Libya is disgraceful. Kwame Mats, Raniam, Minu Hotep, down in Holland. Tariq Nasheed is on Ibrahim level. He leading FBA. Nakmizi, thank you for the €6. Any room for the premium black man on the panel? Some people aren't contributing. Kwame Mats, Raniam, Minu Hotep, thank you for $4.99. Holla. Tariq Nasheed is the greatest FBA leader since Bayard Rustin. Tariq Nasheed, 2028. Tariq has Mojura Ibrahim lack that, and Tariq bring jobs back. Vote FBA. ROK, thank you for the 59. I think there's somewhere in Northern Europe. The wheels of white supremacy are oiled, and the subconscious of FBA skewed priorities. Kenny and Corey, thank you for the 20 pounds. A lot of Western ops in here today trying to attack Traore. Where is Langley on Paul Biya? Where are these haters on Tinubu wrecking Nigeria's economy? Burkina Faso not having roads is partly why Traore is in power today. Guys, make sure you hit that like button. Thank you for the super chat so far. And again, please hit that.
And just to reiterate what Nakmizi has said, again, we have been far removed from Africa. This notion of Pan-Africanism and people trying to make it seem like we are all in this together. We are all on the same plight. We are all the same people. Nobody is moving like that in America. The immigrants come over here. They're fighting for their place here to be. And sometimes that conflicts with trying to replace the Black Americans, the indigenous Americans of America. So it's every man for himself in reality. But they get on social media talking about Pan-Africanism and that they're for the global Black people. Again, it's a lot more than saying that you want to be for something. You have to put the work and do, and the sacrifices have to align with the changes in which you guys want to see. And if you're not willing to do the sacrifice, then you're just talking hot air and you're not meaning what you're saying, and deflecting, talking shit to Black Americans is just a consequence of your inadequacy as a man, as a Pan-African. And you guys are not really about that life. You do not want revolution. You do not want an Afghanistan. You do not want any of those things if you can't put blood on it. That's the truth. And many of us Black Americans are not willing to put blood on the plight of Africans. That's just the truth. We don't see ourselves as being Africans. We do not have an allegiance to Africa. We do not hate Africans. We don't know them like that to hate. But we just don't want to be bothered with the plight of other people. That's not what normally happens. People don't come and designate for another set of people to be a part of their plight. But that is what Pan-Africans are attempting to do to Black Americans. They're trying to bully us and bash us and gaslight us and submit us into this notion of ideology of Pan-Africanism. And most of us are just not having it. And we're getting backlash on social media instead of these people running to Africa to do something about this movement and this revolutionary idea that they claim that they have. Let's go.
Like button. I'll put the link in the chat room for anybody who wants to call in, but y'all got to hit that.
Yo, Dinah, let me get a little more because I did super.
Go ahead.
Hold on, I super chatted.
Go ahead, Nagmeezy. Go ahead, Nagmeezy.
Yeah, so like everybody's trying to blame Black Americans. This is on the other thing, right? I say we mind our own business. Why is Paul Biya, the dude who killed the great guy from Burkina Faso? His name slips me right now. He's
Sankara.
Yeah, Thomas Sankara.
And it wasn't Paul Biya. Hold on, it wasn't Paul Biya, but go ahead.
Wait, who's the dude that did it and is now in Compaore? Yeah, he's in Ivory Coast, right?
Right, yeah.
So how come the nations that surround Burkina Faso ain't trying to go get him? Why is ECOWAS not doing what they need to do to bring that man to justice? Where's the African Union? Why everybody looking at Black America like we have something to do in Africa? Black Americans that went back ain't doing nothing but tours, boreholes, and bullshit. That's all they doing. Show me a Black American that's successful now in Africa, and I'll show you someone that is every goddamn 2 months is back in America. Y'all ain't gonna separate because your family is here in America. So let the Africans run the African stuff. If you're gonna be on some Africa first, then stay your ass over there. And then if it get hectic, don't run back. And Mr. Cuddy showing his Negro chain, that's what's up. Because like I said in the comments, you a Pan-African Pookie, bro. You are a bad representation of Black America over there.
Oh, man. Black America dead. Why we gotta attack the brother, man? He's doing good in Burkina Faso. Give him props.
No. I mean, he want to be showing chains on some
Black America
stuff.
dead. I love y'all, but y'all dead.
There's the man who's wearing a fitted cap and a big hip hop chain.
Again, it's so easy to attack Black Americans. There's no consequence. There's nobody that really cares because we are the go-to sacrifice or perceived sacrificial lamb by many different groups of people. I mean, anytime something pops off, it's always accused and attached and tacked on to Black Americans, like what happened with the hate bill for the Asians, how they claimed that Black Americans were attacking the Asians and they got a hate bill. I mean, any and all things seems to come through us with accusations and assertions and gaslighting about other people's inadequacy to do the necessary revolutionary activities of action and war and fighting and killing and doing all those things that you guys want to see. Traore put his neck on the line, supposedly, because I don't know if he's a puppet or not. Supposedly he took over and he's rewiring what could be for Burkina Faso in hopes to make it better than what other countries have done in Africa, and it remains to be seen. It's going to take a whole lot of time to really see what he can do if he's able to stay around and stick around and be alive and be protected. It really depends on whether or not, though, others are willing to put their neck on the line to protect that man. And if Africans are not willing to do that, then this man, unfortunately, it will be a martyr. I hope not, because I don't like hearing about people being taken out, and then he'll be that so-called messiah for the Africans if he does lose his life, because he has put his neck on the line to the point where he allowed himself to be taken out. And then I'm pretty sure that many Africans at that point will say that he is Messiah, he is the man to be worshipped and all that type of thing. But I don't know, even if he is taken out, if the Africans would respond with war, if they will respond with revolutionary activities. I don't know if they would just cry and scream on YouTube and then go back home. It remains to be seen what will be of the Africans if something does happen to that man. But I want to play a little small clip of Traore, Captain Traore, speaking. This video is talking about his strong message to the West, and he's speaking supposedly in English. So I want you guys to hear how he sounds. He sounds good. He sounds very intellectual. I'll give him that. He sounds very poised to continue this fight up until if he is unalived. He's not fearful. I'll give him that. But he needs to be calling out his men to come out and flood to help, to support him for real, in reality. And if he's to be really a Messiah, it takes people to serve and worship him. They have to serve with their life. They have to become disciples of that man. They can't be on the sideline cheering for him. That is not going to do what the job requires to be done. And y'all know I'm telling the truth. It is so easy to say he's a wonderful guy. He's God sent. He's courageous. He's honorable. He has integrity. But if you're not backing the guy, if you're not ensuring his safety and the movement to continue and carry forward, then you're just cheerleading like anybody else. That's like on the sidelines watching a basketball game or rooting for a team. That's kind of like what we're doing. We're rooting for this African guy like we're rooting for a team, a sport. But nobody wants to put nothing else out there to sacrifice and make his movement a reality with longevity and having the bodies to match the momentum. That's what he's lacking. But let's listen to what he had to say.
Hello, everyone. Comrades, teachers, and awardees from the world of education, dear parents and sponsors of the ceremony, I hope that all the awardees have arrived safely in Ouagadougou and that their stays are going very well. We give thanks to God for this. And above all, let us pay a vibrant tribute to our FDS visionaries and our VDP, thanks to whom this ceremony is possible. So this morning, under a theme that calls us all. But before I continue my remarks, I would like us to take a minute to pray for the repose of our comrades who have gone before us. Thank you. Education stakeholders, I wanted to take a moment this morning to thank you and congratulate you all from the bottom of my heart. Congratulations for your courage. Congratulations for your selflessness. Congratulations on your resilience. Because in the face of the security situation that the country has been experiencing for several years, you are among the most resilient actors of our nation. From the most remote areas under terrorist control. We receive reports from our fighters who inform us that very often the only state actors they encounter in these areas are either teachers or quite frequently health sector workers. Thank you for this resilience and unwavering determination. The role of the teacher is indeed a truly sacred duty. The role of the teacher is very complex. You may not realize it, but I am going to explain why and entrust you with new missions. Your role as a teacher is indeed very complex, in the sense that you must impart knowledge to the younger ones and educate them. Remember that a nation that indeed fails to educate its youth is truly doomed to disappear. This nation will never know peace. Absolutely. Your role is very complex, because in addition to imparting knowledge, You must educate the children. You will have to be their parents. You must teach them good manners, what is right and what is wrong. You will need to instill the values of our society in them. I insisted, through the Minister of Education, that you visit the museum to reconnect with our cultural values. This is very important for you. And so we have values on which Burkina relies. Integrity, honesty. You must instill these values in the young people you mentor. At the same time, you become their parents. In addition to that, I wish for patriotic values to be instilled in the younger generation. Today, more than ever, our nation is facing difficulties it has never known in its history. And to overcome, we need to have patriots, citizens of tomorrow. And to have these citizens, these patriots, the role now falls to you. Train pioneers. Teach them to love their homeland. Teach them to have confidence in themselves. Teach them to love their neighbors. Teach them to live as Burkinabe. This mission now helps you to evolve. Teach them everything you can so that they become very good citizens of tomorrow and ensure the succession. Your role is indeed very complicated because you now have to play the psychologist. In your classes, you indeed have children who have lost everything. You have many children who have lost their parents, who have lost their families. You have children who have experienced atrocities. You have children who have witnessed heinous crimes, who are traumatized, who are in shock. You must act as psychologists. You must ensure that these children forget this violence, become themselves again, and instill in them everything they need to be the citizens of tomorrow. So understand why I say that your role is very, very essential and full of priestly duties. Dear teachers, you who represent the world of education here today, those who impart knowledge, who must educate on the values specific to Burkina Faso, who must educate on patriotic values, be greeted once again.
Again, patriotic values. If this is really a real video of him speaking, African Goddess says that he doesn't speak English, so I hope that the translation is really what is being said. But he's saying that he wants the children to be patriotic. He wants people to be down for the cause of what he's on. He wants people to be down for the movement in this revolution. Where are all the other men like St. James? Why is St. James running around on different platforms, bigging up Captain Traore, but he doesn't feel this inclination of urgency to take his ass back to Burkina Faso and serve his Messiah? But he thinks that we need to make this man our leader. I don't think so, St. James. I know you're listening. But that man is not our leader. He's not our Messiah. We have nothing to do with him. I wish him well. I wish him luck. And I hope that many Africans would be inspired to become a Traore so that we can see the change. But again, without the sacrifice and the bloodshed that's required, there's nothing that's going to ultimately change. That's the truth. But Africans think that the go-to is to Black Americans, and that's just not an option. That's the truth. You guys do not have us in your back pocket to utilize us like a playing card. We're not going to do that. So y'all need to just get up and get going and get out there and get motivated and do the things that is called to do for this revolution. This man is saying what he desires: patriotism and integrity and honor and service to the country. And if the Africans don't want to do that, they cannot expect Black Americans to want to do it for them. It's not going down like that.
Profession seriously, where the future of our nation depends on you. If you educate these young children well, we will have a better Burkina Faso tomorrow. And if you fail, our homeland will have failed. Remember, the imperialists are waging what they call today the fourth generation war. The main objective of this war is to ensure that for generations and generations, our nations can never build themselves. They want to ensure that these children grow up in an atmosphere of terror and violence, unable to distinguish between right and wrong. And only you, by playing, can these psychologists help them distinguish between good and evil in order to be good citizens. Because for them, if children grow up in such an environment, we will have several generations that will never be able to make peace, who will kill each other because the rule for them will be war. Look at some nations in Africa that have not known peace for decades. That is exactly what they did over there. Let us ensure that in Burkina Faso, we are not in this situation. The future.
He said, let us ensure. He is calling out to all you African men, especially from Burkina Faso, like St. James, to hither and go back to your home country to be a part of what he's doing. You guys want to be on the sidelines, celebrating the guy, cheering him on, and talking shit to Black Americans. You guys think that that's all you need to do to cement this revolutionary moment? It's not going to be long lasting if that man is not, this man right here is not protected. And it's not our duty and our job as Americans to put our life on the line for this man to prevail. I'm sorry, it's not our duty. People want to make it our duty. I don't care how you call us haters and race traitors and all this type of talk that's going on social media. None of us, in large bulks of us, are not gonna feel obligated to die for your cause. We're not gonna do that. If you guys still have that view about us, then again, there's no reason for us to really have a conversation anymore. We just have to separate. Y'all got to go do your thing and we got to go and do ours. That's what's got to happen. This bickering back and forth about what we're not doing for Africa, it's, again, a moot point when you have Africans that have feet and hands that's being summoned by Captain Traore to put their life on the line for this movement to secure the future. And if you are not willing to do that, whose fault is that? Y'all's. Let's go.
Of our nation rests in your hands, and I ask you to take this mission to heart and to transform our future generation, our society, so that we may have tomorrow's citizens worthy of that name. And you promise me here that you will do it.
We're Phoenix Energy, a family-owned oil company focused on unleashing American oil from North Dakota.
Promise me here that you will do it.
Again, he needs active men, not intellectuals. You guys have enough of intellectuals. You guys have enough of people yapping and debating. What you guys don't have enough of is able-bodied men with the mentality of Traore to keep the momentum going, to change what is going on in Africa for good. There's not enough of Traores running around. You guys are claiming to be a part of a revolution, but you're not willing to do anything that's required of a revolution to really see that Africa has liberation. You guys are just looking to us as Black Americans and saying it's our duty to do. And we are, not going to go for that way of thought. It's not our prerogative to care. I'm sorry. It might hurt to be frank like this, but it's the truth. It is your prerogative to care, and it's your duty to do. The question is, will you listen to what he just said and do what he wants you to do? That's the question.
Thank you very much. To you, dear students, congratulations for the work accomplished under difficult conditions, but you have managed to stand out. Through this day, you motivate your peers to be able to be in your place next year. It is a healthy competition that you are instilling in your peers, and we wish them good luck and a lot of courage as well. Therefore, be dignified, Burkina Bay, for those who have experienced the effects of this barbarism. Make the effort to stay close to your comrades and to be united. Those who have not experienced these situations should be the ones advising others, leading others to have fun, and forget about these situations. Make sure to be united, to be integral Burkinabés, to be men of value, respect your parents and elders, and work as hard as you can. Respect your parents because you must also help them. We often talk about certain texts that call for banning child labor. That's good. But I can tell you that our society is built on values. And within those values, you must do a minimum of work for the parents. Me, the one you see in front of you, I have washed my mother's pots. I have pounded for her. I was shot for her. I sold this donut. My comrades mocked me because it was women's work. I did it. It didn't stop me from being first in my class. It didn't stop me from being who I am. Help them with their tasks, and especially during these holiday moments, learn to work. Learn to do something with your 10 fingers. It will help you. In your schools, the environment...
Again, he's trying to tell the younger generations, you know, to work and earn and be a part of the culture, be a part of the work, do for the country, be patriotic, care about the future of the country, grow up with this idea that self-sacrifice for a better tomorrow is what he is alluding to. I don't know how much this message came out and touched the hearts and minds of Burkina Faso people and other Africans, because I haven't really seen a cry of men flooding to the YouTube saying that they want to enlist, they want to be a part of this revolution, they want to fight to the death. I haven't seen any of those words used on YouTube. I just hear people talking about we all unified, we all believe in this guy, go Traore, hands off. You know, that's not going to stop bullets from flying. That's not going to stop the attempts of another coup to come. There's been 20 supposedly already. There's going to be plenty more to come. And it's up to the African men to say, we're not having any chance of this guy be taken off this planet or continent. If they don't have that gumption about them, how can the revolutionary activity that's required happen? It's just not there. It's not there. Let's go.
Be clean. Your classrooms and the surroundings around you. Make sure to always stay clean. Plant as many trees as you can. And your teachers will help you learn the basics of agricultural production, particularly in gardening. Awaken in you. This Burkinabé spirit, awaken in you. This love for the homeland. You can and you must encourage all your peers to be very good citizens out of solidarity. And I count on you to be the driving force that will lead your peers towards excellence. And as for you, sponsors and members of the government, we indeed have a mission to truly mentor these young people and support them. I can tell you that when we definitely lower the fever of this war and significantly control our military spending, we will need to invest heavily in certain areas. We have stratified the areas and functions, and in the first layer, we find, of course, our defense forces, our internal security forces, the teaching community in general, the health sector, and the agricultural sector. We will therefore be able to focus on improving the living and working conditions of the actors in this world that I have mentioned, specifically the four main areas I just cited. The other layers will come gradually. That is why we have launched several initiatives, both in the agricultural sector and in the fields of education, health, and community development. And through these initiatives for education, we want to build our schools, our grandes écoles here, to train our elites so that they can...
Again, I have no awareness if this video is actually what he said. Afro goddess or African goddess said that he doesn't speak English, so the translations I don't know. I'm hoping that it is close to what he's saying, but he is making a cry for patriotism and unity and helping out the youth and being supportive of his mission and in their fight and their war against the French, against all people that want to suppress him and stop him from what he's attempting to do. And I wonder if the Africans really hear him. It doesn't feel like to me, from what I've observed on YouTube, that they really are taking wholeheartedly his message in. They think it's cool to just cheer. They think it's cool to just gaslight Black Americans and point fingers at us and argue with us and say we're haters, as if that's going to change something. Y'all have to get in the mud. You got to put your neck out there, and you got to mean what you say and do what you say. You know, you can't just talk. And I think that a lot of Africans are put in their mind somehow that Black Americans need to take their place. And it's just a real weird thing, vibration that's going on. Let me see what you guys have to say in the chat room before I continue. I appreciate you guys for being here today. If you have not yet, please hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate that. Let me see. I'm gonna read. Where was I? G asks, what is this video on YouTube called talking about Burkina Faso? I'm not quite sure which video you're meaning. There's so many videos out there, G, talking about Captain Traore and putting him in such a light where he is just doing so much. And he's a warrior, and he's doing the right thing for his people, and he's not trying to get caught up with globalists, and he's trying to change what has been going on in his country. And it remains to be seen if it's propaganda or not. It feels like it's a bit propagandized news to get in the hearts and minds of us and cause emotionalism and cause us to hope and believe. But none of us really, to be honest, are willing to do the sacrifice. So anyone could say that they're down for Traore, but how down are you for him? Are you down enough just to clap your hands and say his name? That's not going to change anything for the betterment of Africa. It's not. Pinky says some of our people are so lost, calling Tariq a leader and saying he's great. The small bubble that must live in. I know Tariq is not our leader either. He is a guy that is benefiting off of the FBA hustle. But I do believe we have a right to identify ourselves as Americans. I prefer to say we're indigenous American and, leave it at that. But we have bigger fish to fry here in America. And it's going to come a point in time where we're going to have to get active here in America for our own rights and our own survival. That's the part that Africans don't want us to think on. They want us thinking about them. They want us worshiping them. They want us serving them. Not all Africans, but a lot of y'all, especially on social media, have this idea that you should be able to dictate to Black Americans what we're about to do and how we're about to be. And you guys are deluded and delusional if you have that mindset. I'm just letting you know. You said we were never in Africa. We haven't been, if we were, in a long time. Miss D says, I agree with some of Tariq's points, but he's not a leader of us. Exactly. Pinky says, if any of our ancestors were in an African country, that African was bred out hundreds of years ago during our ethnogenesis. Exactly. That's the part that people don't want us to acknowledge. They want us to pretend like we just slaves that came from a wooden boat, and that's the way we really are today. It's like, no, buddy, we are survivors of slavery. We're not slaves anymore. And we are a new breed of a person, of a people. We're mixed race American. And unfortunately for those that have bright ideas about what we're to do, they don't have the power to force us to care. And this is why they're upset with us, because they feel like they should. That's the bottom line. African Goddess says, don't think there is a global black. Clearly, some of what's in Africa's interest is not in the interest of America. And at some point, USA Pan-Africans might find this a conflict. They need to just leave America. Pan-Africans, if you're listening, you are hypocrites. You talk shit in America. You talk about white people. You talk about racism. You talk about white supremacy. You stay in America. You refuse to go to Africa where the promised land is. You refuse to go fight to the death to see the liberation of Africa, because you do not mean what you say. You want us, the people that are not inclined to think about Africa like that, to do what we're told. And because we're not doing what you say, you're pissed. And we don't care. Get over yourself. Pinky says, we are a new breed of people. Our ancestors were here when the Europeans arrived. Yes, we have so many different types of people that's in our bloodline. And people don't want us acknowledging all the facts that make us who we are. They just want to keep it in a box and keep us stuck on the African transatlantic slave trade story, trying to make that to be the most relevant thing that's going on today. It's insane. Miss D says, facts, we don't hate Africans, but we are our own people, and many happy for Burkina Faso, but it's not our fight. And I don't have U.S. U.S. Captain Langley. Yes, we don't. About Captain Langley, he is a general doing his job. He just merely said that the Burkina Faso Captain Traore is benefiting off of gold to protect him, and he's making himself into a mini dictator, pretty much. Is he not? He's not doing elections. Is he not? He doesn't want to do what the Europeans or the Western people have done in times past for a government. So he's coming out and doing his own thing. So Captain Langley is recognizing that the guy is doing his own thing. That does not translate to mean that Captain Langley was going to put a hit on him. I think that people were making up a story to stick on to us. Of course, Captain Langley is a Black American, and people, of course, want to attack Black Americans, and so he was the face of attacking us. And they continue to bring up Captain Langley right now on Search of Uru, saying that he was a traitor or a tether, undermining tethers and all this type of talk. Everybody's on the side of the African, and they're not on the side of self-preservation, which I'm on the side of. And I don't care what Pan-Africans think. They can go jump off a cliff for all I care. Pinky says, then the Europeans bred themselves into our people. No need for African slaves if there were millions of people here. Exactly. I believe some came from Africa, but the vast majority were already here. And we were bred here. And unfortunately, through circumstances and life changes, we are Americans, and we do not have this allegiance to the death of Africa. And that is why Pan-Africans and Africans feel messed up about us. It's weird. They should have that feeling onto themselves and go do the sacrifice that's needed. But no, they think they're above that. They think that Black Americans are designated to do that, and they are sadly mistaken. We're not sacrificing shit for anybody. Sorry. African Goddess says the Caribbean and African countries are all part of the global South, so there is less conflict when it comes to Pan-Africanism. It's going to get worse before it gets better, African Goddess, because all this talking is going to have to cease at one time or another, and action is going to have to follow. And that's where the Pan-Africans are going to be exposed. because they're not willing to do the activity of revolutionary work. They just want to get us to do this work, and they don't have the power and influence for that either. So they're just shit out of luck. So how far is this movement going to go if nobody's going to actually do the action and the sacrifice? It's not going to go far. Yeah, Cuddy is a clown. African Goddess loves Cuddy. Oh my God. He's not funny. He looks funny. He looks like a praying mantis to me. Miss D says, what the hell is the Global South? Also, we're not a part of the diaspora. No, we're not. Tahanka says, they only attack us on the internet, but not in real life, but in the streets. Yeah, they attack us because, again, if they can bully us and shame us and submit us to do their duty, they're clear and free of the sacrifice that's required for this revolutionary change. So they're picking us as the scapegoat for their own deficiency to do what's needed and required. You said YouTube is not real life. If it was, the African Revolution would be won already. Exactly. Pinky says, cuz City scared to return to America. His life might be in danger. He owes big money. I'm not surprised. He is a scammer and he is whack. I don't understand why people are trying to big up Cuddy. That's a joke in itself. Ain't Cuddy a nickname that came from Black Americans? I don't even know that. They would blame us Black Americans because Langley is a Black American. Yeah, they're using Langley to just attack all of us, you know. Tahaka says, I am saying I don't hear no one talking like this outside. No, they're not. I ain't heard nobody American talk about this guy. Tahaka says Umar can be their savior. Umar would never sacrifice himself for the advancement of Africans and their revolution. He's just going to talk shit to us. Pinky says, to be honest, I would blame the U.S. government too. When the Tanzania president Magufuli died, I thought our government had something to do with it. Really? An African Goddess says, Traore does not speak English. It's not him. Hopefully it's a good interpretation. I hope so, because that's crazy. Traore can call Umar. He will help him. Hey, Umar would show his ass off. He would become the biggest American if Traore reached out to him and say, we need your muscles and we need you to put on a military suit to fight for the advancement of Africa. Umar would never do it. That's what I mean about these Pan-Africans are the biggest liars out there. Use Umar's school to teach. Oh yeah, it don't exist. Exactly. African Goddess says, I understand he is changing the curriculum to reflect African values. Well, he is right about training patriots. Yeah, you got to do that. You got to instill this patriotism and allegiance and love for the country. And again, it's not the duty of Black Americans to have all that love. It just doesn't make sense. And people trying to make it so is not going to work out for you. Miss D says, we are not African. Good luck, but we not fighting for Africa. Exactly. Good luck. Miss D says, how we trace race traitors when we're not the same race. Once again, Africans are melanated. We are Black and no one else. We would have to be a part of them to be a traitor. We would have to be unified at one point for me to trade against you. We never been together as a unit, as a unit ever. So there's no trading. It's just you deflecting and lying and trying to make me the problem, and you're the problem because you're not actively doing the duty of what a revolutionary person would do. What's up, Fitzroy? Philip, thank you for coming through. You said that's a true leader, long live. I hope he does live a long time. I hope that he is successful, but I'm not going to have nothing to do with that success. That's just it. That's the rawness of it all. African Goddess says we don't have enough intellectuals in Africa. We have brain drain. Levels of education here are low, but you guys have a lot of people in the UK, United States and Canada and wherever else that are intellectuals that know a lot, but they don't have that gusto to run and flood Africa to do the duty of what's required for a revolution. Y'all don't have it in you. And y'all looking at us, salivating, licking your chops, thinking that we got to join the festivities of what you guys got going on. And it's like, no, we're on the sideline watching. We're waiting. We're seeing what you guys are not doing. That's what we're witnessing. You said praying for Traore and his people in Burkina Faso. Yes, you can. That's all we can do. Imbra Muhammad says, hi, good evening, and praying for God's guidance over you from malice of your envy. I don't have any envy, sir. What is the envy of? I'm just telling you that it's not my plight to really put my neck on the line for the cause of what's going on in Burkina Faso. I wish Captain Traore well, and I hope that his people will get inspired to be a part of his revolution for real and do what they need to do to make it so that his movements and his, progress will last, because it's not going to last if people don't join in to fight. What the purpose of life? Trenton says the purpose of life is to help yourself survive first and foremost, and then your family, and then your neighbors, and then your country. It has to go in that order. You cannot look to other countries and other people's plights and attach yourself to that and make it relevant to your life when you're not even there and you don't even care like that. It just doesn't work out that way. What's up, Charlie Shaw? Thank you for coming through. Ain't nobody envy over anything going on in Burkina Faso. Having envy over people attempting your life all the time, 20 times. Why would I envy? He still has a lot of life to live if he can. They're not going to stop doing these coups. You got people that's in Africa he has to worry and wonder about. And it has nothing to do with me. You said not sure about you, but I'm not really into Cinco de Mayo. No, I'm not really into it either. German mystic. Pinky says Captain Langley is us. He represents America and he will put America interests first. He's American. If he has to deal with the leader of any country, I'm supporting him. Again, I'm American first. It is what it is. Nobody's lazy, Trenton, but ain't nobody dying for nobody else's bullshit. Sorry, Trenton. If you want to go die for Burkina Faso, prove it. Get on the plane, one-way ticket, make a video, make it go viral for him to see that you want to be a part of his military, and then make what you're claiming you want to see done be your reality in real time. You telling me I'm lazy about another man's plight? How dare you? You sound stupid. Pinky says, welcome. Cinco de Mayo is not an American celebration. Charlie Shaw says they said nothing when they sent a white dude there before Langley. These people are cowards. Exactly. They just want to pick on the people that are always picked on. Dan says education and you will be rich. Simple. No gangs, no problem. Fathers in the home, no problem, Dan says. And Liza says, I warned them. Prophetic. Okay, I heard that, Liza. Thank you for coming back. I appreciate you. You said, hi there, who did you warn and about what? Yeah, what did you warn? And it's over 1 billion people between 54 countries, half are men, so why are they bothering us? Exactly. All those men that should be utilized. Think about all those men in Nigeria. I mean, they got so many people over there. They should be flooding to get to Burkina Faso, but they're not because they're tribalistic. They're not because it's not their plight. And they want us to feel like it is a part of our plight. It's ridiculous. Liza says, Mr. Prez signed in that anti-American crap. They got to go. Bye. Okay. And let me see. What's up, Engine Radio? How are you? We're talking about Traore, Captain Traore, how do you feel about him yourself? Do you guys think that Captain Traore is going to be a man that's going to survive the test of time? Or do you think that his days are numbered? He doesn't really have the support of his people like that. He doesn't really have the Pan-Africans really like that because they're not willing to put it in blood. And we as Black Americans are definitely not willing to put it in blood. They can feel whatever way they want to feel about it, but you first, okay? Y'all put it in blood first. Liza says, then I heard Soul Flow tell the Caribbeans the same message. McBeam is a tether. Okay. African Goddess says, that's exactly why I say deportations might be a blessing in disguise. Yeah, it appears that it could be, because if Africans run out of options of staying in other countries that they are not from, and they have to go back to Africa in large number, maybe they will feel some kind of way about what they need to do. But it remains to be seen. You said Touré's movement needs to last. The number of young men turning themselves into fish food each year trying to get to the West is criminal. Yeah, why don't they flood Burkina Faso? Why don't Africans flood to be a part of his mission? Again, it's not our duty to do. And Pan-Africans are pissed off about it. Africans are pissed off about it. I heard someone on Search of Vuru even threaten Black Americans to shoot us in the street. I think his name was Darth. He said he threatened to shoot Americans in the street. But that same energy he doesn't have to shoot the people that are trying to come for this Burkina Faso Captain Traore. He doesn't have that energy to join the military. He doesn't have that energy to do another coup in another country. He got the energy to shoot and kill Black Americans, though, because we won't submit to them. It's really weird. Pinky says Africans think we are like them. They see us as another African tribe. No, they want us to believe that we're just like them so that we can do what they are not doing. That's what it is. How are you doing, Ali? Yusuf, thank you for coming through. I appreciate you. You said been on a couple of Chantel lives. She is hilarious. Yeah, she can be hilarious sometimes. African Goddess says, no, lots of young Nigerian men have gone to Burkina Faso. They are seeing it as a new opportunity. Traore is calling for skilled workers. Okay, well, he needs to be calling military guys too. I didn't see people talking online about wanting to go to Burkina Faso. If you can tell me what video that is, I would like to see it. Miss D says they know we are not a tribe. Many hate us because they feel we're living good and feel like we are still slaves. Exactly, Miss D. A lot of them still call us slaves. A lot of them would like to see us downtrodden. A lot of them would like to see America go to smithereens, because then they feel like we will run out of options, and that's what they dream about for us daily. And these same people in the same breath will turn around and say, let's unify and become one. They don't mean it. They just want to utilize our services for sacrifice. And we do not feel like we're going to do that. And they are butthurt because they can't force us to do it. Liza says, I told them the president was going to stop all that anti-American babble to us and down talk to America. They can be deported, green card or not, citizenship or not. President is checking social media. Is he? Oh, wow. I heard that. Charlie says, I let him have it in his comment section on the live he had about reparations being disrespectful. I believe it. And Liza says, Trump signed an order to transport them a free ride out of here if they have anti-American rhetoric. Antics, I heard, well, they need to get to the Pan-Africans. And I would be definitely showcasing videos if that ever happened. Plus, many Africans want to be with white people. There is much white Jesus all over Africa, and many African people use skin bleaching creams, G says. Exactly. So now I'm going to play a little bit more of Search Review Rule, but I'm going to fast forward it when it got kind of good. There's a lot of stuff being said on this show. Where was the time? I think 4 minutes or 4 hours in. Hold on, let me play this part. We're going to listen to this. And I will be showcasing a couple of days worth of just showcasing how Black people are acting on social media about this Captain Traore. It's very fascinating to me that a lot of people are putting a whole lot of faith and a lot of hope and emotionalism onto a guy they have no awares on. They don't know him from a can of paint. He can and could be a puppeted leader that has been brought forth. For all we know, it remains to be seen if this man is going to stand the test of time with not getting a lot of revolutionary help and people wanting to flood and help him in real time. But let's get back to this.
You know what? Hey, Diney, before you end the show, hey, this Sunday, if any of y'all in that have family in Atlanta, I would be at the Petro truck stop from the hours of 12 or 3. Anybody would want to own? Hey, we know you don't care because you're a hobbit-looking clown, bro. Hey, I tell you what, bro. And I don't know why you talk shit about. I don't know why you talk shit about Africans when you got that tether hairline. That's why you're trying to hide it with a bandana, bro. But real talk, though, bro. Real talk. I'll be at the Petro in Atlanta today. Tomorrow, anybody that want to get into transportation, want to own their own business, and don't want to be a professional employee like this good boy. You get what?
Well, that's not the part. Let me fast forward some more. They do a lot of arguing and showboating on the show, trying to brag about how much money they make, which makes Africans even more envious of us. And that's what they were doing, showcasing their house and money and talking about their car or job. And I don't know what they'd be thinking, but let's find another spot in this. Let's see. Here we go.
I would say Kenya, like some people have said. And are they perfect? No. No country's perfect because countries are made up of human beings and no human is perfect. So they're not going to be perfect, but I'd rather live in that country where I know I have a say than live in a military dictatorship.
Yeah, you have where you can go around and film your neighborhood without the army trying to arrest you and shit.
See, that's what I didn't understand, Elvin. I didn't understand that either. I didn't understand they said, hey, we can't film without getting locked up. What type of stupid shit is that?
Because they're on high alert. I mean, everybody is suspect in the country right now.
But then, if everybody is suspect, how can there be unity and all this jubilant if everybody's a suspect?
No, it's a lot of African countries, including Ghana. There are places you can't film. It's just
I'm talking about the people that's the citizens. The people that are citizens that live there. Every time I hear them, they all talk. None of them ain't showed not one video. Everybody is just telling you word of mouth stuff. You get what I'm saying? No type of proof. Listen, I've been listening for the last 3 days. When all of them talk, the last words come out their mouth is trust me. Trust me. Trust me. Every time they make a statement.
Specifically, you mean in Burkina Faso?
I'm talking about Burkina Faso. Every time I ask one of them, like they can't show, they can't film, riding and pull out the camera. That doesn't even make sense.
It's on the news. Like you said, you probably don't track the news channels because they're in French. And a lot of their stuff is...
Listen, everybody in the country don't speak French. You get what I'm saying? Listen, this is what I'm saying. What I'm saying, If you want black people to support you, you need to have more than, like, this is the craziest thing in the world. To sit up here and talk about how you don't like France, but everybody speak French. That's the crazy thing right there. So it would make sense. Hold on, let me just say this last one. Let me say this last point. It would make sense for the government to say, hey, you know what? We want to show, we might not want everybody else to show this They all talk about propaganda. So how about the government hey, let's find two people. You know what, y'all, y'all can go around, make videos. We want two people that speak English. That would be simple. You get what I'm saying? Because if all your news is in French, but you're talking about you hate France, you're kicking them out, but everybody speaks French, that means that you're only talking in the echo chamber. It would just make sense as a business model, as promotion, to have just one or two people that speak English that work for the government, through the government, that's designated by the government to make videos. That would just only make sense.
Listen.
Hold
on. Corey, 1 second. It's still K2. Are you done?
Well, honestly, I wanted to speak to even what Hustle Smart was saying, because it ain't no disrespect.
Okay, so you got a minute. I got to pass the dark.
All right, bet. So this is all I want to say. For some reason, it seems like everybody wants it to be, Western democracy. Or, Brandon was on here talking about, all they need to do is have an election, and then I'll support it. And it's like, why can't they do maybe democracy doesn't work for them? Regardless of what everybody else thinks, we've seen this story. Y'all are acting like all these democracies, quote unquote, in all these other countries are, running great. Now maybe there might not be war, they might not have the terrorist stuff going on, but even in Kenya might be easy to do business and this, that, and the third on certain levels, but they also have their own problems. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, look, you can't just call them out because they're not doing the same thing that they want to do in the West. You can't say, hey, they're all speaking French. The only way to be able to change that is to be able to do things unorthodox. That's all I got.
So I just one point to what he was saying.
I see something or no?
Hold on. God, let me pass the dark tempers because he's been waiting.
All right, thank you, Charlie. Hey, Lewis ain't saying nothing either,
The dark tempers was on before Lewis.
No, I got you. I was just letting you know Lewis ain't saying that either.
Oh, grocery shopping.
Hold on. Okay, so what I can say to this is, why does every nation in the world have to be a democracy, especially an American-style democracy? Why does every country in the world need to be that? They don't have to be that. The UK is not that. Morocco is not that. Bhutan is not that. Not every country has to have the same system as the United States. Not every country has to have the same political system.
Exactly.
We don't have to have the same political system. Everybody grows at different pace. Even though we're in this planet, we grow at different pace. We don't have to follow the same system. Number two, the global economy that has been set out in the world, the global architecture, was for Europe to be research and design, America to be finance and military, as in police the world, China to be manufacturing, and Africa to be a resource colony, Africa and South America to be a resource colony where they grab resources as well, and Indians to be some kind of a labor force, a cheap labor force for services. But Africa should not industrialize at any cost. You see what I mean? So they roll out these structural adjustment programs when Africa needs money to kind of develop themselves. They tell them you have to implement austerity measures. That means you have to cut down government spending. You don't invest in schools, roads, hospitals, nothing. These are the things that need to help people develop to the next level as human beings. You need to privatize your resources, privatize your natural resources, devalue your currency so that it's easy for us to come and buy your resources for cheap money. You see what I mean? They tell them these are what the terms you have to sign up to. Devalue your currency, deregulate your market, so that it's easy for us to run amok in your country and do whatever we want. So that if any African leader hasn't signed up for that, like Sankara, they off them. You understand what I mean? This is what the United States has implemented as the architecture for Africa. And you get people like Ibrahim Traore reversing that, and black Americans want to say, look, if you're American and you're proud American and you're just like Brandon, don't come and tell us shit about your African. I will shoot you in the daylight.
Whoa. Again, he would shoot us dead in broad daylight. This guy is an African. I'm not quite sure from where, but he's been on Khazarian Empire's platform. He's threatened us before. He's called us slave babies. He's called us slaves. A lot of these Africans on these platforms feels like we are obligated to them, that we should submit ourselves to their cause. And if you're not worshiping them and shaming and talking down to Black Americans, you will not get a pat on the back. But this rhetoric, I want y'all to hear again real closely how he brought us up, talking about shooting us in the street.
What we want. So if any African leader hasn't signed up for that, like Sankara, they off them. You understand what I mean? This is what the United States has implemented as the architecture for Africa. And you get people like Ibrahim Traore reversing that, and Black Americans want to say, look, if you are American and you're a proud American and you're just like Brandon, don't come and tell us shit about your African. I will shoot you in the daylight. Also,
Again, this is where they come to talk crazy about Black Americans on Search of Uru. He thinks it's cute. He's saying, whoa, 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 whoa. But did the guy get taken from the platform is what I want to know, for threatening us. Why can't he use this fighting spirit to join this Captain Traore and get a gun for real and use? Why does he have to threaten Black Americans? Again, they don't respect us. They think that they should own us. They think that they should be over us. And if we do not submit to them, which we're not, they have this hate that they showcase on platforms, in conversations and debates. Let's listen.
Hold on. The views of the Garb Tippers are not the views and opinions of the Search of Who.
I support any rebel African.
And you hear this other African talking about, I support any rebel African. So anybody that wants to kill Black Americans and say that rhetoric was good to do because he was a rebel. But he needs to take that real attitude with the action and match it with the mission and the movement of this Captain Traore. Not onto us. Again, they really feel like we have to submit ourselves to them. It's a sick, sick disease they got going on. I've been exposing this time and time again. Not all Africans, but a lot of them feel like we should be submitted to their service. They think that we should be their sacrificial lambs for their causes. And if you do not feel that way, they got words for you and threats for you. And none of us are going because we ultimately know that we are expendable in their eyes. And they think of us again as slaves. And that is not the relationship that none of us are seeking to have. And we don't need to. We don't have this plight with Africa. And we do not have an allegiance to their cause. And that's why they're pissed. And that's why they rage against us.
I am capable of analyzing any African American.
Come on, man. What's wrong with you?
But Search of Uru did not kick him off. He just said he would off us. And he left him on the platform. That just shows you how disrespected we are as a people, and we should not tolerate with this Pan-African bullshit talk. We shouldn't tolerate it. It's not a benefit for us. It's a way and a tool to use us up and spit us out. We don't benefit one iota from being a Pan-African. All they want to do is have their hand open, receive monies that they didn't earn, to put on things that will not benefit us as a whole, and to use us until we are not having anything else left to use. A lot of these Africans feel this way. And, you know, it's disrespectful, and it was just disgusting to see him stay on the platform after saying what he just said.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Lewis.
Hey, also, you're my man today. Listen, you always be my man, but today I can go to war with you. You're my man. I appreciate that, my brother, man. Hey, let me see the shirt. Let me see if you busting out the shirt today, man. Let me see the shirt. All right, okay. You ain't busting no buttons today, bro. Hey, listen though, bro. Listen, all you American truck drivers, London bus drivers, where the money's at. Anyway, it's like this. Whoa, come on, you gotta stop it. I'm an Ashanti man. Look at this beard. See this beard? This ain't no bum fluff. Stop saying Africans can't grow beard. That's dumb. And it's embarrassing. Stop embarrassing yourself. We feel for you, bro.
All African Americans can grow a beard. Look at Dinus.
Right? Okay, just chill with all that.
I'm trying.
Listen, I'm running
You're African, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm African.
No, I said Donis is an African.
Yeah, but you said African can't grow beard. That's the silly sort of stuff that used to come out them.
Can I just touch on that? Most Africans, 95%, you're in the minority. When you walk around Africa, you don't see beards, do you?
Have you seen Samara Michelle?
Cultural.
Not true. A lot of Yoruba men can grow a beard. A lot of Igbo men can grow full beard.
Listen, you want me to show you pictures of my dad?
I said Africans. Oh, he put some stuff on the other side. Hey, go rewind the video.
So mind y'all, this whole live was over 7 hours, 7 hours and 26 minutes, trying to imply that this Ibrahim Traore is a Black American problem. That is the title of this stream. That is the furthest from the truth. And Pan-Africans and Africans don't want us to be honest about our truth. They want to try to dictate and shame us to submission, to accept their cause as ours, and to actively be a part of the cause, monetarily and physically, to be used up like lambs. And if you don't feel that way, there's something wrong with us. And that is the stupidest thing ever. That is definitely a propaganda lie. And it is not worthy of us to do. And I don't care what Pan-Africans feel like or Africans feel like. If you feel so strong about this revolution, prove it. Be a part of the military. Be a part of going back to Africa. Be a part of, helping other coups and whatever else you have to do to make these changes stick. If you guys are not willing to do it, don't expect us to want to, because we're not going to want it at all. And we don't. That's the truth. Unfortunately, we have to witness the disrespect of Africans and Pan-Africans on a daily. And they think somehow they're gaining points for talking shit to us when there's work to do. A lot of work to do. Let's go.
That shit empty as hell. It's empty in there. Man, you hungry. All right, man, go ahead. You get it. Go ahead.
All I'm saying is, look, sometimes we just got to check ourselves, yeah? Now, you know why I rang today? Because it's a really good show today, Dinus. And but there was a brother who came on earlier on from Burkina Faso. I don't know if he's still on, right? If he's still listening, listen, brother, I'm not against you, bro. Right? Ghana is not your problem. Ghana is your friend. We're your brothers, okay? Kufuor is your friend. He was not against you. Last but not least, if the brother is listening, stop going around saying that Kufuor sold you out. He can't sell you out, brother, because he was not your president. Okay? So if the brother is not here, I'm going to have to cut my opinion a bit short. But I rang him really to correct him. Because a lot of the stuff, you got a lot of support in Ghana for Traore. But the problem we've got is we've been through this in Ghana. You cannot run the sort of society that we want in Africa under dictatorship. It's not good. We know about Western democracy.
Again, nobody that I know, and I'm sure plenty listening, is not looking forward to any association or participation with dictatorship in Africa. A lot of people want to paint this illusion that Africa is a paradise awaiting us fleeing racism and white supremacy and all this type of yada yada talk as the immigrants fight to stay in America and replace us. It's the most ironic, idiotic thing that is occurring. I've been showcasing the realities of what Africans are really on versus what they tell us. And they tell us to replace them, and they replace us in America. And I'm just not down for any of that. Again, they think we're expendable, and they don't mind using us for their benefit. And that's the reality of it all. Traore is inviting us to get citizenship while he is being attempted on his life 20 times and counting, as if that is a good thing to do because of what Dr. Arikana put in his ear. And I'm wondering if those people that wanted to get citizenship before this travel ban that might be implemented, are they going to go through it? Because that is a form of sacrifice. That's a form of being used as a tool. That's a form of allowing yourself to be leveraged for Africa. That's how they are using us, as leverage and bargaining tools, and, you know, making up stuff for us to be a part of, just so that our name is always included. But it's not a benefit for us, and it's definitely a risk for us to even fathom living in a French-talking country led by a coup leader who is attempted 20 times, if not more. It's going to be happening on and on and on, to tell us that it's a good idea for us to come over there. And since he thought to do that, or influenced to do that, that just shows you that he is not a good benefit for us. He wants us to be a part of the sacrifice. He wants us to be in the middle of all the drama. That is not what I perceive as a good leader. And again, people don't value us if we don't value us. And I'm saying that is not worthy of us risking anything over there in Burkina Faso. It's the people like St. James that should be doing the sacrifice. And he is tucked away in America talking shit online. I'm just pointing that part out because he ain't trying to go to Burkina Faso to fight for the revolution and the liberation of Africa. But he's trying to tell us that we need to be submitted, he said in the chat room. I saw you write in Kala Genesis platform that we should submit to Traore. Ain't nobody submitting to that man. Are you bumped your head? You need to submit to that man. You got some doing to do. You got some servicing to do. Since you think this man is the Messiah, you got to prove you feel this man is Messiah, or you think this man is our Messiah. I don't think so. Because if he dies, what does that change for us? If he lives, what does that change for us? Nothing. Doesn't change a damn thing.
We know who they are. The good thing about this, between the three Sahel nations, is that everybody in Africa or around the world can see the dirty games that the West play. But don't give them an excuse. My advice to Traore, put on your suit, do what President Rawlings done, go to the poll, get legitimized, come run your shit. Other than that, anybody else in the country got the right to pick up a gun. That's all I'm going to say. Last but not least, our independent Kwame Nkrumah told the Ivorian Prime Minister at the time and the French nations, come and join us. Yes, yeah. Kofi Boyan or Boyan, come and join us. Kofi Boyan said, if you're ready to leave your mother, we are not ready to leave our father. And the French have been buggering the French, black African-speaking nation up the arse ever since. You allow them to do this to you. How can you sign a deal that unless you got to put 80% of your money into
Bank de Paris. Okay? You're going to put 80% of your money into Bank de Paris, and then when you want it, you're going to take it as a loan back. President Adu was the first one to explain this on the entire thing when he first came out. But this brother who was listening was against President Akufo-Addo. He's been fluent French from one of the most affluent families. He is not against you. So the brother, if you're listening, Ghana is not against you. What you're going through, we've been through that. And we told you a long time ago, the French-speaking nation, without the exception of Guinea, under I forgot the president's name. Yeah, no, the one where Guinea Conakry, I think where Nkrumah went.
Oh, Saka Steven.
Saka Traore says.
Secretary.
Thank you, sister. Apart from them, none of the French-speaking countries wanted to know. We told you, and you've taken all this time. Now you're going to do the battle that you could have been doing in the 80s, and we all could have been running together. But it's better not late than never, I suppose. But going forward, if you pick up the gun, everybody else got an excuse to pick up the gun. That's why we say we can't go forward. Now what we got to do is target our energy into the so-called elected leaders who are not doing our bidding. Last but not least, to the sister who's listening, I know you was on earlier on the Ghanaian sister. I love you, sister. But I'm an Akufo-Addo man. He's the best we've had since Nkrumah.
Oh, man.
And now look at the trajectory of the country. Mohammed's only been in 3 months. It's not because of him, because of the policies of Akufo-Addo. You see it in time. Africans got to make better decisions for better leaders. We should not have gone back to Tunso President for Muhammad. We should have carried on with Bamwa. But it's never late, better anyway. You live and learn. We've got to make better decisions going forward. Our brothers and sisters in America, Jamaica, they all want to come to Africa.
Again, this brother and sister bullshit routine is not moving to me. I do not feel it. Nice try, but it doesn't fly. The plight of Africa has to be dealt with by the Africans of the continent. And, this war of debate about how Black Americans should feel about Africa, and most of us just don't have that feeling that's required to self-sacrifice for the cause of the upliftment and the liberation of Africa. It's just not there. And even the Pan-Africans that are Americans who claim they want to see a revolution are not doing what the requirement is, to self-sacrifice. They're just pointing fingers and arguing with us about why won't we do the sacrifice for Africa? It's like, because it's not our plight and that's not our job. And what do we look like, bitches to everybody? You guys got to figure out who needs to do the do over there in Africa. And it's called the people of Africa, who are Africans, especially from Burkina Faso, have to get involved and have to make the sacrifice that's required. And if they can't do it, then it is what it is. There ain't nothing nobody else is going to be willing to do for that. But they think that they have a right to tell us what is for us to do. And unfortunately, they're not liking the response of us, which is, no, thank you. We're not interested. We're not interested. Let me go back up. Let me see. All right. He said, I'm surely trying to get my people in that mindset, but it's hard work. It really shouldn't be hard, Charlie Shaw, for us to have the mindset of survival and self-preservation for ourselves here in America. We got to be on point. And that's what delineation is about, telling us who we are, reminding us what our plight is against all odds, and the propaganda that's being spewed on social media through Pan-Africanism. You guys are not brainwashing us with the rhetoric of talking the same talk day in and day out. It's not doing nothing but making you look like weak Pan-Africans who only talk shit and do nothing. That's what it makes y'all look like. I'm not spewing, I want to be a revolutionary and die for anybody. And you guys mad because we're not doing that? Are y'all okay? Golden Brown says, you're so right. We better get tribal. Exactly. And Cameroon and Nigeria and Somalia use heavy skin lighteners as well as in many North African countries such as Egypt. Okay. And Pinky says they will fight you harder than others while they're constantly losing and complaining. Exactly. They only look to argue with us. It's really weird. They should take all that motivation and anger towards their revolutionary flight to liberate Africa. Russia has taken over Central Africa Republic and doing business with Mali and Burkina Faso. Exactly. So this notion that they're doing it all on their own, they're still dealing with colonizers or globalists. Russia is very different. I can't really have much of what to say about him, although he's unpredictable. He will go to war if need be. I mean, look at Ukraine. People are putting Russia in a better light than most for some reason. And I don't know if he was propped up by Russia. Maybe Russia sent him, for all we know, this Captain Traore. We don't know. You said report to Interpol, FBI. I heard that. Yeah, the guy threatening us was crazy, wasn't it? Pinky says, why don't they talk to the French, Chinese, and Arabs like that? And he's talking about the Americans that claim to be African. So he's not talking about most of us. No, he's talking about, he said, anyone that calls themselves and proud to be an American that's talking shit against Africa, he would go to the streets in broad daylight and shoot you. So I don't know how much clearer he could have said it as a threat. And he said it on that show. He wasn't kicked off. Nobody tripped. Everything was all good. And it was weird to even have Americans on that platform not going off on what he said. They were just like little bitty bitches. It was truly unbelievable. He said his tribalism report, G says African people are terrified of Arabs, Chinese, and white people. Exactly. Where is his black ass at? I know he definitely is hiding somewhere in the UK. G says many Africans side with white supremacy and bow down to white people. Myron Gaines, Omar Ihan, Joy Reid, Vivid, and Candace Owens, Cynthia Ervil. Yes, exactly. Our brothers were almost murdered in Kenya when they read and spoke the truth from the scripture that Jesus is a black man. I heard they got stoned. They got rocks thrown on them. Our sister traveled to Ghana and she re-exposed the extortion and scamming in Ghana. Exactly. Siding with reality, not supremacy. Exactly, God. I'm not siding with white supremacy. I'm siding with my self-preservation in reality. I have to figure out what to do here in America. I can't be putting my emphasis on a continent and a people that I have nothing to do with. That just don't make sense. Liza says they are not ready for modernity. Unfortunately, I don't think so. What is your tribe, God? G asked. Death threats are not a joke. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. He's threatened us plenty of times, but he is not the only one that I have heard threaten. I remember Alfredamus got drunk on Khazarian Empire's platform, and he said that he would re-enslave us again if the white man asked him to. That he has the power and he's superior and all that type of talk while he was drunk. Many Africans let the truth out of their mouth, and a lot of them really feel like they are over us, and they think that they should be dictating to us and ruling over us. That's what it all boils down to. But there's an issue because we're not in Africa and we have never been to Africa, and they are frustrated that they can't make us do what they desire. That is the issue. That's why they are always gaslighting us, and that's a sad reality, but it's true. Pinky is saying it's our fault. They're talking to us. We give them the attention of people like Dinus. Yeah, every day Dinus got us in the title. You know, never putting it on the Africans to have to do with the revolution. Why doesn't he say, will the Africans join the militia of Burkina Faso, or are they gonna stay like mini mice and not say nothing? No, he won't do nothing like that towards the Africans. He always has to put the bullshit onto Black Americans, and that's what I do not respect about Dinus and other Pan-Africans at all. Well, I know this, Germany is bringing Nazism back to the surface every day over there. It's also spreading in Austria too, okay? And Pinky says, we notice how you Africans don't talk Brazilians, Cubans, South and Central Americans, and others about lending you support just us Americans. Exactly. They think, Pinky, for some strange reason, like they should be pimping us. Like they have designated us. A lot of times I hear conversations where people are talking about our money or how it could be used towards Africa. It's like you guys are talking about a people that's not even trying to be a part of the conversation. How dare you? They're like, yeah, the Black Americans, they can help with this and they can give money with bonds for that. What the fuck? What's wrong with y'all? What is wrong with y'all? Go take your money, speak for yourself, and go do the damn thing. Leave us out of your mouth. You cannot make us do what you desire. We can't be forced to care. And we don't care. It's no disrespect. There's no hate. It's just the truth. And Africans are trying to make us who don't have care or family or association or connection to Africa the reason for why they can't get their shit together. How wonderful is that? You said, G says, many Africans are jealous of who we are and where we live. They just want white people back in their countries and they want to live with white people. They want to take over our identities. They want our life. They want our situation. They don't want to do the sacrifice that our ancestors had to do way back when. And they figured, since that was a while ago, why not have us be initiated in their purpose, in their causes, in their plight? But you can't force and designate for a people that has nothing to do with your plight and make it their plight. That's just not real. That's not reality. And Pan-Africans ought to be ashamed of themselves to assume that they can exert shame to us and force us to have to comply. We're not complying. Get over yourself. You said in Austria, that's where I'm going for vacation this year. Oh, wow. Be careful and make sure to fully covered. Oh, dang. And G says Black African people have destroyed their image in Europe due to human trafficking. Exactly. And crimes and prostitution by Black African men doing it to Black African women. Many white European men will walk. There's a lot of stuff that they got to work through. You know, unfortunately, like I say, they've had a lot of traditions and festivals and dancing and having a good time, cultural stuff that they do. They didn't keep up with the times, and now you have a full-fledged, military strategies and equipment that they don't have access to, and they didn't build anything. They didn't keep up with the Joneses of globalists. They kind of let themselves be passed by. And many of these Africans that are all over the place don't feel like they need to return to change that. They want to live their life. They don't want to have the responsibility. they want to designate that responsibility to little old Black Americans. And we're not going to accept what you dare not do. That's the truth. Up to you, and assume that you're a prostitute because of the color of your skin. No offense, G says. Okay, you got a video. Let me see. I appreciate you guys being here. It's been a long time. I had taken almost 2 weeks off, and I enjoyed myself. I got more rest, and I was able to see that movie that everybody's been talking about, Sinners. I thought the movie was okay. I didn't think it was like the best movie ever, but I appreciate that it did acknowledge our blues and reminiscent to the 30s and whatnot. I was happy about that. Let me see. You're showing stuff that has nothing to do with today, though. G, let me see. Yeah, thank you for that. I'll look over this a little bit later, but it's kind of distracting right now. Let me see. You said, damn, they ruined our image. Think I will share with my daughter. Really want to go to Austria, not a very popular vacation spot. All right. Pinky says, why those shoes we plan? Okay, you guys are talking among yourself. Tell me something about staying in Germany, please. I have no awares as what happens in Germany. You would be teaching me for the first time because I don't know nobody over there. I have no clue about how the culture is to African people. I'm not sure if there's a lot of Americans over there in Germany, so I can't really tell you anything, honestly. You said Atlanta is full of Nigerian pimps and hookers. What? Anyone can answer me? Okay. And those videos are just some insight for Pinky Wells. Oh, okay. All right. So, you know, I don't want to be a downer, a Debbie Downer. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but the truth will set you free. And all this performance on YouTube that I've noticed where people are just screaming to the mountains about this man, Captain Traore. They swear he's the coming of Christ. They swear that he is the Messiah of the African people. And they even claim that he is over us as a leader. And that's just not true. That's delusional thinking. That is them projecting their emotions as far as how they think we ought to be under the thumb of an African. And even though I have respect for Traore, I don't want to be ruled over by him. Sorry. I don't want to be a part of the plight of the African struggle. Sorry. I don't have nothing to do with its success or its failures. Sorry. And I don't have the allegiance and the service that's required to serve someone like a Captain Traore and worship someone like a Captain Traore. That's not a part of what we got going on over here in America. For those that want to put him on a pedestal and serve him and worship him, prove it. It's more than just cheering. That's all I know. Congratulating him and screaming his name and saying hands off and all that type of talk is only good for a short time. And then there's a lot to do. And if the Africans can't flood coming out of the woodworks, claiming that they want to serve and service for the mission of the liberation of Africa, then they cannot twist their lips to form the words that Black Americans ought to. They don't have it like that. I'm sorry you guys believe you should, but you don't. And we do not have an allegiance to Africa's plight. Sorry. If anything happens positive, it has to come from the Africans. And as much as you guys want to make us believe we're Africans, we're not. We've been living in America for hundreds of years. We're not changing our makeup to satisfy other people's viewpoint. In fact, I have one more video that I want to show real quick, and then I'm going to go to just show you how we are Americans. And, you know, K&K Squad has been having a video that she did years ago go viral. People got wind of this video. Let me see if I can find it. Talking about how, you know, going to Africa really shocked her back into reality of America's not so bad after all. I know that she's over there right now, but I'm sure as soon as she's able to leave, she probably will. But this is a video that people are talking about, and this is a reiteration of what I'm saying, that we are Americans, despite how Pan-Africans and Africans would like to dumb us down and tell us we are not good enough. We are not given the same rights and privileges as white people living in America. We understand that racism is still a part of our culture, unfortunately. We got to keep pushing to change that. But we have come a far, far distance from 300-400 years ago till now. And we can't change our colors. We can't change our identity right now. I know that people think it's just an easy thing for us to do, and they're hopeful that we would just submit ourselves to the ideas that they are bringing to us on social media. But in reality, they're not willing to do these things that they are required to do. They just think that they should be making us do what they say to do. And we're not going to do it because we are Americans. And this is just a reminder. Shout out to K&K Squad about what she said. And we already know that it's not a walk in the park living in Africa. There's a whole lot of changing that needs to happen. And it is going to take the Africans to care more about their circumstances than arguing with Black Americans.
There's a woman who has gone viral because she left America and moved to Africa. She doesn't like how America's racist, and sexist, and bigoted, and terrible, and awful. So she made good on the threat that so many leftists make that she's going to leave. In this case, she's going back to Africa. She's not from Africa. She grew up in Africa, but she's an African American. She's going to Africa. Things must be so much better, right? She had instant regret.
But y'all, I'd rather go back to America and deal with the racism in America before I sit here in Africa and deal with the bullshit robbery, the bullshit fraud, the bullshit scams, the bullshit too expensive, the bullshit not having no snacks, the bullshit not having no food, the bullshit electricity, the bullshit hot water, the bullshit what's this called that be coming down? The bullshit animals and scorpions outside the house. It's big spiders, it's big lizards, colorful lizards you ain't never seen before, all in the room with you, sleeping with you. All the bullshit people trying to scam you when you go outside thinking you rich, so they trying to get more money off of you. I'm really trying to wrap my head around this. I'm really trying to wrap my head around how are Americans coming to Africa and being happy. Please comment down below, because for me, I'm ready to go. And I always used to say, if it's up to me, it will be. And I'm going to go out to Africa and make it happen. No, I don't want to. I want to take my businesses back to America. I want to open up shop back in America, open up my dentist office, and all the stuff that I was going to do out here in America. Steady electricity. And the only time our electricity get cut off is when we don't pay the bill.
I think you get the picture. She goes on and on with a litany of problems in Africa. The spiders, the lack of snacks, the lack of food generally, just everything. It wasn't what she thought it would be. It's kind of funny, totally predictable, of course, but it's funny. You don't want to feel schadenfreude. One hopes for her sake she can make it back to America and have a good life. It's a reminder for all of us, though. You are what you are. You got to go to vandycrisps.com/Knowles. Spring is when we throw open the windows and freshen up, including freshening up our kitchens.
You are what you are, no matter what Pan-Africans say, no matter what Africans demand, assume, try to dictate, try to insert their will onto us, the ship has sailed. We've been here for hundreds of years. We are American. We know we have certain things to iron out, but the problem is many of us are scatterbrained and other ideologies that have nothing to do with our survival here as Americans living in America. That's the truth. Pan-Africanism is no benefit for us. It's not no upliftment for us. It's looking to take from us. It's looking to sacrifice us, use us, and toss us to the curb as soon as we have nothing left to give. Until we come to that understanding as a collective of people living in America, we're going to be scatterbrained and confused and losing out on surviving. And everybody is attacking Black Americans and making the survival of the mission of liberation of Africans onto our shoulders, as if it is our problem, as if it is our duty, and it's just not so. These Pan-Africans that are Americans are not going to go die for Africa. Afro Think Tank is going to live in wherever he's at. Is it DMV or what is it, Washington or whatever, somewhere over there. He's not willing, with his military past, he's not willing to go to Burkina Faso to make the reality of the mission of liberation of Africans so. But he'll spend hours upon hours accusing Black Americans who have nothing to do with Africa as the problem of Africans. That's what they've been doing. They're scapegoating us because they refuse to do what they want us to do. And it's not our prerogative, and it's not our priority, and it's not our situation. So I'm hoping that some people will finally get the memo and understand and wake up out of your slumber of stupidity. Stop assuming that you have a right to enforce and impose on a people that live in America for hundreds of years what they ought to do for Africa. We ought not do nothing for Africa unless you choose to do. And if you choose to do, it is your choice. But for the ones that don't care to choose Africa, you should respect where we are and draw a sand in the line and gather up the people that think like you, but more than think like you, do what is needed to be done. And if you're not willing to sacrifice that for that mission, for that Captain Traore, you are just a yapper talking shit. And you are a coward who is trying to make me become your bitch. And that's not going to work. So to all Africans, I hope that you are inspired by Captain Traore to want to be like he is for the upliftment and advancement and liberation of your continent. I can only be on the sidelines, though, like all of us will be, including the Pan-Africans. If the Pan-Africans get off their butts and do what they claim they want to see done, a revolution, I will retract my statement. But I doubt it. I won't hold my breath because they seem to be cowards. They seem to be just long-winded warriors talking shit every chance they get to Black Americans. But talking shit to us is not going to change anything in Africa. It's going to make Captain Traore more vulnerable. It's going to make his mission a lot harder. And it's going to not galvanize more men to pick up weapons and arms and fight for the liberation of Africa. It is up to you, Africans, to do what you need to do. Stop scapegoating Black Americans to do what you refuse to do for yourself. That's the best advice I can give you. I know I have a lot of haters. I will be coming back in, but not as much as before. I'm going to just maybe 2-3 times a week come back. But I hope that you guys would know that there's no hate for Africans. I don't care what people would like to say about me. There's no hate. I don't have hate, but I just not picking up somebody else's agenda and making it mine. I'm sorry, I can't do that. And if Pan-Africans that are Americans are honest, they will tell you that truth too. They're not willing to die for Africa, but they will talk a good game. They're going to keep talking a good game. That's about it. Thank y'all for coming through. Please hit the like button if you have not yet. Let me see what else you have to say before I go. Let me see, where was I? Hi, I'm just chill guy. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you. Do you mind sharing with me your contact? I don't understand. You can come back and visit sometimes on the live stream. Picky says, I've seen K&K Squad video. It's 6 years old and people are all playing the same clip. I bet they don't even know her channel. I know. It's funny how it became viral all of a sudden. Kind of late though. Oh no, it's really hard out here in Africa, especially if you're black, G says. And Pinky says, are you the one that lived in Africa years ago? And G says, that saying is so true, applied to Africa. If you're black, stay black. If you're brown, stick around. Yellow is mellow, white is right. Golden Brown says, how come I don't see G comments? I don't know. G says, it's not wise for me to disclose that in open. No offense to Pinky. Fontum Ashu says, smacks of self-indoctrination. Noble causes are for those with conviction, visions, and determination. It's for the Africans to do. Unfortunately, Fontum, you cannot make up a narrative that's not real. You don't know me like that, and I'm not indoctrinated to anything. I live here. I've been here. My whole family's been here. My family's been here. Family's been here. You can't make me see your reality as mine because you said so. I know you would like to make that be and stand, but I'm sorry, it's not going to work out for you. G says, but I am aware of the world, especially Africa and many other land masses. Pinky says, if you don't see someone's comments, they blocked you. Oh. Pinky says, I notice a lot of American men and women, former military, are now Pan-Africans. Exactly. But again, they could put on another military outfit. They could renounce their citizenship. They could go be about that life. If that's what they really want to see Africa do, they got to be about the business. You can't just talk about it. You got to be about it. And you can't force other people to be about something that you're not being about. That's just dumb. Pinky says, I watched a lot of Americans on YouTube with C-19 started, and they were all in Africa countries. Yes, they're most former military. Golden Brown says, I don't hate Africa, but I'm just very disappointed in Africa. I just think that they waited way too long. They waited way too long. And they really held on to traditions and cultures that have not been a benefit to them. When you have stuff to do and you got to strategize and do other stuff, traditions and cultures can be hindering. And it seems that it has been a hindrance to Africans, in my opinion. G says, well, what I will say is that America is very great at sheltering the truth and being insular, but those days are over. Many of Americans have many cultural shocks, okay? Pinky says, I don't care about Africa or any other country right now. Just worried about how America will be years from now. Exactly, Pinky. It's, I would describe myself as being indifferent to what is going on anywhere else but America. I'm not, for instance, tripping off of what's going on in Palestine and Ukraine and Russia or Africa or Canada or anywhere that I'm not at. I'm sorry. I mean, I can cheer and wish them well, but I do not feel like sacrificing for anybody else's cause but my own. And our duty as Americans is survival and adjusting and figuring out what we need to do with all the changes, what Trump's doing, and how things are going to manifest or be altered forever. I don't know. We have to wait and see. We got stuff that we have to deal with. These tariffs, for instance, might affect us with, what's coming in the and being imported or whatever. Really bad coming up June, July. People are speculating. I hope for the best for Trump. Like I said, I voted for him, but I have no power to change anything that he does. I'm just holding on and hoping that we're not going to be taken down the wrong path from where we were, because we were in a terrible place with Biden. We don't need to revisit any other place more terrible than that. And I just hope that this is a transition period with Trump where things are going to even out a little bit and make sense of what's been going on. So I will be coming back to talk about Trump when I do another live. Today is Sunday, so maybe Tuesday or Wednesday I'll be back to talk about Trump. How do you guys feel about his first 100 days, by the way, since I did put him in the title? If you guys have an opinion about Trump, first 100 days, if you want to grade him, A, B, C, D, or F, how do you feel? I would give him a C plus, maybe, or C minus from what I've seen. Because I'm going by how the attitudes of most people that I'm hearing. I don't hear a lot of people happy about what Trump's been doing. I can't say that people are celebrating him unless they're online. But in person, when I'm walking around and I hear people talk about him or I bring up the conversation about him, it's mostly negative. So I would say that most people are apprehensive about what Trump's been doing, but he is our president, and I hope that he will get this right. But speaking of Captain Traore, there ain't going to be no worshiping for most Black Americans. It's just not happening. So the propaganda that's being played out where people are talking about we all are unified and we are making that man our Messiah is all bullshit, because nobody's servicing and they're not willing to sacrifice. And until that happens, Traore is not a Messiah. He is a warrior, but he might end up being a martyr if he is unfortunately unalived. And how can they stop that? People have to flood and support him. And if they won't, it is what it is. So thank y'all for coming through. Please hit the like button. I know I have a lot of haters, unfortunately. I hope that you guys will see the light, though. Let me see what else you're saying. All right. And you said we are living a sheltered life. Some people are making, taking chances, going to other places, but beware, because these travel bans might be coming soon, very soon. We have to see. And again, my opinion is do not get citizenship in Burkina Faso. Do not invest in Burkina Faso. He is affiliated and attached to Dr. Ericana. And like I said before, she was a fired ambassador of the African Union. I've done videos about it where I showcase a letter from the African Union about her firing for fraud. So for her to include us in the festivities of what's going on with Burkina Faso is telling. And for him to invite us to Burkina Faso when it's not safe for him is telling. We need to worry about ourselves here in America and stop glorifying Africans, period. Sorry, not really. You said African people don't believe in building. They believe in going somewhere else, which is already built. Yes, they've been doing that. Yes, I hope the best for America. I really do. And Pinky says, looks like all people are running to places already built. Yes, they are. And G says, true, but you can't keep running. You have to stay and hold people accountable and build. They have to. And that's the issue right there, G. They don't want to be held accountable. They want to hold us accountable. Make that make sense. They don't want to be held accountable. They want to hold Black Americans accountable. And we are going to have to let them know we're not going to do that. We're not doing your job. Sorry. Pinky says, A+, you give them. I'm getting what I wanted. Don't care about what others think. Those are the people that were okay about giving America away to people who didn't give a damn about their own countries. Exactly. I heard that. And at C says Burkina Faso. Yes, we talked about the Captain Traore that has been put on a pedestal of worship. They're claiming he is a Messiah. They're claiming that we ought to be under his leadership, which is bullshit. Ain't nobody going, but I wish him well as an African man that's standing on this square and doing right for his people. I won't take that away from him, but again, it will not last if other Africans don't get involved to support and protect him with their life. That's the point. Pinky says, get citizenship in Burkina Faso, and if America has a problem with them, you might get stuck there. Exactly. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody for being here. If you have not yet, please like the video, and please leave a comment in the comment section of the video if you have anything to add or other things to say in reference to the Captain Traore, in reference to Trump. I will be bringing back the conversation about Trump coming forward. I'm waiting for the Supreme Court to deal with the birth citizenship coming up, I believe, in the next few days, maybe a week and a half or so is supposed to come up. So we have to wait and see what's going to happen with that. But I will be talking about Trump probably Wednesday. So please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I will return. This channel is not very popular because I don't kiss the asses of a lot of people. I keep things plain, and I speak my mind and tell the truth. I don't like to appease people to make them happy, because the truth is the truth. And if people can't stomach the truth, that's on them. But we got to do our part as Americans and survive and adapt. That's what we got to do. And we can't allow people to get in our ears about stuff they refuse to do for themselves. It's not our position, and it's not our cause. That's the truth. So with that being said, please like and share, and bless up.